Ang leksyon sa atin ay simple lamang. Kailangan pa natin mas lalong galingan. Kailangan pa natin mas lalong bilisan. Kung datos lang ang pag-uusapan, maganda ang ating ekonomiya, tumaas ang kumpiyansa ng mga negosyante. Bumaba ang inflation, dumami ang trabaho. Sa mga nagtatanong kung nasa na ang 20 pesos na bigas, ito ang aking tugon. Napatunayan na natin na kaya na natin ang 20 pesos sa bawat kilo ng bigas nang hindi malulugi ang ating mga magsasaka. Binabalaan ko ang mga trader na magtatangkang magmanipula ng presyo ng palay o ng bigas o manloloko ng mga magsasaka. Hahabulin namin kayo dahil ang trato namin sa inyong ginagawa ay tinuturing naming economic sabotage. Kitang-kita ko na maraming proyekto para sa flood control ay palpak at gumuho. At yung iba, guni-guni lang. Huwag na po tayo magkunwari. Alam naman ng buong madla na nagkakaraket sa mga proyekto. Mga kickback, mga initiative, errata, SOP, for the boys. Kaya sa mga nakikipagsabwatan upang kunin ang pondo ng bayan at nakawin ang kinabukasan ng ating mga mamamayan, mahiya naman kayo sa inyong kapwa Pilipino. Mahiya naman kayo sa mga kabahayan nating naanod o nalubog sa mga pagbaha. Mahiya naman kayo, lalo sa mga anak natin na magmamana sa mga utang na ginawa ninyo na binulsan nyo lang ang pera.
This is a special coverage of the 5th State of the Nation address of President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. I'm Ed Lingao.
And I'm Regina Lay. We will be bringing you live images from the Batasang Pambansa before, during, and after the SONA. As always, so stick around over the next 3 hours.
And of course, with us, as always, our resident political pundit, I made it very formal today, Mr. Raul Llamas.
Happy Monday!
What happened to political creature?
Make it more
A
formal.
resident political
SONA.
creature.
SONA.
Because it's a SONA.
SONA.
We have a lot to talk about today. Can you believe it? 5th SONA. Just like that. Ikalimang State of the Nation address na ng Pangulo. It has been a year since that landmark, mahiya naman kayo, SONA. What do we make of the last 12 months?
Probably this will be the most important SONA in his 6-year term. First of all, ito yung first SONA after nung defining mahiya naman kayo SONA. Second, ang dami nangyayari ngayon sa SONA na ito. Impeachment, ICC, plunder cases, no? Economic problems, continuing aggression ng isang superpower. Kaya medyo di natin mahintay kung anong sasabihin niya. At kung hindi defining itong sonang ito, he might probably become an early lame duck.
May mga nakausap na tayo, insiders, so to speak, who say that they think President Marcos will deliver a major announcement at this SONA. He knows the pressure is on. He knows what he has to, publicly announce has to be earth-shattering. Give me one specific example of something that you're expecting to hear.
Well, yung inaasahan na earth-shattering ay yung case na final kay Martin Romualdez, yung pinsan niya. Ang problema ay final na yan last Friday. So hindi na siya ganun ka-compelling, nabawasan na. Ikalawa,
You'd rather i-announce na lang niya sa SONA?
hindi, PI lang eh.
Preliminary investigation. Baka kala nila mura.
Ibang usapin kung
Actually, hindi
halimbawa,
pa siya case eh. It's only a
It's just
complaint.
Mag-i-investigate
it's just
pa
an
lang.
information within the ombudsman. So hindi siya masyadong explosive.
Hindi pa siya charged.
Yung isang balak niyang sabihin, itong upper middle income status natin, no? Pero syempre maraming tao hindi naman feel yun. No?
May pagka-disconnect.
Oo. Probably yung matagal ng plano na cabinet revamp, nangyari na eh. By increments, di ba? May natanggal na dalawa, may natanggal na isa, may natanggal na dalawa pa uli. So, hindi na siya revamp eh. So, hindi ko alam kung ano yung pasabog na inaasahan. Although yung nakuha ko information, yung first 5 minutes daw will be the most important part ng speech. No? Not the last 5 minutes, the first 5 minutes.
Of course, you have to go big
Yeah.
right from the get-go.
Pero knowing everything, parang hindi ako makapag-isip ng
Kung ano yun.
Kung ano
ano yun.
explosive yun.
It's beyond our
Oo. Sa
imagination.
economy, ano yun?
Oo.
Sa political, ano yun? Ongoing na impeachment eh. Wala namang nahuli. No? Na
I mean,
bago.
So basically, ang gusto mong marinig, that's earth-shattering, is still related to the corruption problem. You
Partly.
want to hear that somebody is going to pay for the flood control mess. Yun yun.
Yes, partly. Tapos yung sinasabi niyang reset sa relationship natin with China, ano yun? Anong reset yun?
And-
It's hard to ask for a reset na after 3 consecutive incidents in just 1 week in the West Philippine Sea. And,
In the same week that the
if
foreign
you push for
ministers
reset,
were here.
how would you look like if you're the one asking for a reset?
Oo, dahil kung magsasabi ka ng reset, panto eh, mas towards an amicable settlement rather than an escalation. Di ba? So, I can't predict eh. Ano yung sasabihin niya na earth shaking.
Pero Ronald, let me put it this way. Most people you would ask would tell you that they expect something about Martin Romualdez. I mean, that's been
To be specific,
talk of the town for not just for the week, but for
Hindi, last November pa,
Oo.
sinabi na ni Vince Dizon yun, tsaka ni Babe Simpson. Meron pa silang tinulak na mga kahon-kahon na ebidensya. If you remember, di ba? Sa ICI, no? Tapos binigay sa ombudsman. Pero that was November. Tapos sabi ni Boying Remulla, may mga makukulong na big fish before Christmas. Tapos March.
Hindi lang si Boying yun. Even the
Tapos
president
May.
said that.
Oo. So, tapos ngayon, last Friday, nag-file ng PI. So, parang hindi naman ganun ka-explosive. Lalo na wala pa tayo nakikitang smoking gun. Wala si Gotesa, wala si Saldico.
Wala naman talaga smoking gun in this flood control mess.
Hindi, yung iba kasi
as you say.
nagdala ng
Yung iba kasi,
300
oo.
million, no?
May testimonies
Oo.
of money that are being delivered to them allegedly.
Yes.
Directly.
Nag-deliver ng 8 na armored car kay Undersecretary Tay Gibdao, si Yusek Alcantara. Yung mga ganun ba na smoking gun? Ito parang hinahanapan natin eh. Perhaps inaasahan yung testimony ni Bonoan, pero wala pa yung testimony niya. So,
Or even though he's been made state witness. Or
Yes.
sorry, hindi pa pala, but the ombudsman has requested that
Recommended.
he be put in the state witness protection program.
They've been waiting kasi since Christmas last year for the big fish to be
We've
behind
been
bars.
waiting.
Yeah.
Everyone's been waiting.
But the president, sabi ng Pangulong November, alam ko, bago magpasko, makukulong na sila. Wala silang Merry Christmas. That was November 2025. Okay. Where we are right now, you have Jinggoy in jail again. But that's not really that surprising anymore.
Bongbong
Para former naman
difference.
senator yan eh. Hindi naman siya incumbent eh.
Marcoleta.
But a different plunder case. That's not to do with the flood control project. That's 75 million for donations.
Nasa kanya mismo nang galing.
Para ibang kaso yun eh. I mean, kung kumbaga, iba yung hinahanap ng publiko doon.
Hindi
as
yung
far as
kasama
flood
doon
control.
sa mahiyakan.
Oo. Yung iba, nasa investigation phase pa lang.
PI,
Si
si
kay
Jo-
Cheese, kay
Si Joel
Joel.
Villanueva.
Oo.
PI na yung kay Joel. Yung kay Cheese, wala pang PI eh.
Tapos, sino pa iba?
I can
Si
clarify
Bonoan
ko
nga.
lang, PI here means preliminary investigation before.
Si Bonoan nga, kinasuhan nga, pero mukha naman maging state witness. So maliban doon, puro mga underlings lang doon sa DPWH and a contractor and a half. Maliban doon,
Mukhang mamaya
and contra-
sasabihin ni Presidente, he will follow through dun sa logical conclusion. Sasabihin na daw mamaya.
what could that be?
Where the evidence will lead.
Okay.
That was from
My-
last year. That's what he said last year.
I'll tell you what I think would be earth-shattering if he goes up there and says, nahuli na namin si Zaldico and we have his testimony to implicate everyone in Congress that was involved. That would be earth-shattering. To say na we've captured Zaldico and we
But how
have
can he
him,
do that without
I don't know.
rendition?
But I'm just saying.
Sinasabi lang niya, naghahanap
I'm
lang
just
siya
saying,
ng
kung
earth-shattering.
kailangan mo ng, and you know the pressure is on, otherwise, as Ronald said, you're gonna be an early lame duck. At anong pwede mo sabihin to try to rally the country, right? To try to at least get your trust ratings, performance ratings up again. Ikaw, anong gusto mo marinig?
Hindi, ako,
Si Ed.
grudgingly, I agree with you.
Kailangan talaga may grudging.
Yeah, but
Because our shtick is we should never agree with each other,
But
right?
realistically, you're looking at extraordinary rendition to get Zaldico, and that's not likely to happen.
Yes, medyo uphill, no? For that to happen. Pero it's not impossible.
It's not impossible.
There are
It's not
easier things to do, I think, at this point.
not
No, it's not impossible
You talk
given
with
our
government to government yan eh.
Yun na nga, our friend relations with France, who
For
has
luck-
been helping
yeah.
us on the South China Sea
Yes.
issue, right? You could leverage that relationship.
For lack of a better example, parang kay Governor Tebes sa East Timor.
Oh.
Parang ganon.
Ang tagal nun, ha?
Hindi, nagmatigas sila. Nireject nila eh.
Oo nga eh.
Tapos, nag-usap yung government to government. Nagawa.
Napabilis.
Nangyari,
Oo.
oo.
Ikaw, Ed, ano ba gusto
But
mo?
East Timor is different from Paris.
Of course, of course.
I mean,
Pero-
Dili is a far
Pero,
cry from...
pero si Zaldico kasi wala namang kaibigan sa French government eh. Sa East Timor, kaibigan niya mismo yung presidente.
Ang
What do you wanna hear?
Well, not what I want to hear, but I can imagine what people want to hear would be this eh. Yung mga mastermind ng mga congressman sa flood control project,
Ayun na nga.
maliban kay Zaldico, kasi from the start si Zaldico ang pinupuntirya and he's abroad and hindi siya mahabol-habol, at parang maliban dun, wala nang iba.
67 yung sinabi na involved dito sa anomalous transaction
It's an
na
open
congressman.
secret nga daw sa
Pero yung
Kongreso.
mga mabibigat doon ay may mga links sa executive eh. Kaya hindi ko alam kung kaya nilang
I think that's what people are looking for.
Mabilisin
Kasi,
yun, no?
yeah, may hinuli kang ilang senador nasa opposition, meron kang ibang senador na under investigation, na medyo mahaba investigation na nasa admin ngayon. So that of course raises eyebrows. So what people are looking for, I suppose, would be, so what happened to the congressman na
Exactly.
magmula na pinag-usapan natin ng pagsimula ng issue ng corruption sa infrastructure projects with Benjamin Magalong, even predating the issue of flood control projects, we're talking about roads, cat's eye devices sa mga highway, yung rock netting, we were talking about all that before the flood control project eh.
Nagulat nga ako doon sa mga flood control project sa Taguig eh. Parang hindi mo ma-imagine yung Taguig na may rock netting.
May rock net.
Oo.
May slope.
May slope eh.
May slope. Was it a slope protection?
May slope protection project eh. Na flood control.
Lahat naman ng...
Sa Taguig.
Lahat naman
But
ng
rock netting...
districts kailangan ng flood control.
Oo, pero parang wala kang makitang slope sa Taguig.
Maybe you're thinking of only BGC, but Taguig is bigger than BGC.
Oh, pero yung Taguig kasi, kanya, marami dyan, urban poor, di ba? Marami dyan, mga subdivisions, no? Wala kang makitang bundok eh.
Pero tama si...
Tsaka rock netting presupposes rocks
Yes.
on a cliff face
Yes.
that you have to prevent from falling down.
Yes, oo.
Pero I
Tapos
think
ikalawa rin,
tama ka, Ed,
yung mga
Yung,
contractors, wala pa nagagalaw practically eh.
Well, sila, I mean, apart from the Discayas, wala pa nga masyado.
Kalahati ng Diskaya. Pero
Yung iba kasi,
15 yun eh.
napunta na sa witness program katulad ng nila Sally Santos of Sims Construction, one of the biggest contractors as well, nilagay na sa witness protection
Pero
program.
parang isa lang eh. Paano yung pinakamalaki after the Diskaya, yung legacy eh.
And for example, the one that donated to Senator Escudero's campaign, Centerways Construction, headed
Kay
by
Lubiano.
Lawrence Lubiano. Yung kaso na yun, which the COMELEC is now, well, a few months
That's-
ago, they said
yeah.
they're looking into in
But
terms
that's a
of...
different case.
That's a different case again. But I think tama din si Ed. I mean, pag online, the narratives are often ano nangyari sa mga kongresista.
People keep
involved.
talking about maletas.
People think the congressmen and women are getting away with it.
Yeah.
12 months after the mahiya naman kay SONA.
So,
Yeah,
yun.
kung magkakaroon ng relatively big fish, perhaps not the biggest fish, mga kongresista, di ba? At saka mga contractors. Dahil yung 15 kasi, barely na-touch yung 15 na yon. Siguro, meron pang at least 13 na natitira.
Teka, nagugulat ako. Ba't parang ang subdued mo ngayon?
Oh yeah.
Di ba natutulog ako kanina? Nung dumating ka. Nung dumating siya, natutulog ako.
Why are you subdued?
Medyo subdued ka ngayon. That's highly
Ibig
unusual.
sabihin, gusto mo ako maging unhinged?
I never used that word.
Ako naman pagbibinta ka na naman.
Dito si principal, kaya behave ako. Tagal niya nawala eh. Diba? Saan ka pa pumunta?
I went to a country where things work. I went to Australia.
Ang gobyerno yata doon, Labor Party eh.
Labor, I mean, may problema din sila in terms of popularity ratings, in terms of the perception that they're not doing enough. But by and large, of course, it's not as chaotic as what we have. There is a sense of, I mean, it's a parliamentary system, right?
Yes.
So if the leaders loses faith amongst his constituents, amongst his fellow party members, he's out. That's it. It's as simple as that, right? Whereas dito talagang it's Game of Thrones style. But anyways, I was gonna say, alam mo, we keep coming back to the 2025 SONA. Pero remind ko lang din na the break, the fracture in the unit team happened in 2024. 2024 was also a momentous SONA because that's the first one that Vice President Sara Duterte did not attend. And it was a clear break. That was the year that she called herself the designated survivor.
Yes. But
Naalala
early
niyo pa.
2023, nagsimula na yung
Oo,
tambalos-los eh.
it started to
Oo,
it
nagsimula
started to
na yan.
fracture na publicly.
Nung natanggal si Gloria Macapagal Arroyo as Senior Deputy Speaker, ayun na, nagsimula na dyan. No? Kaya it happened much earlier. Tapos yung away between the President and the sister happened immediately after winning. Di ba?
And at that time-
The first SONA.
Oo,
no?
at that time,
First SONA
kiskisan pa lang.
Oo.
I thought it wasn't serious. I thought maybe they're just, little tiffs. Pero ngayon, all-out war na.
Aimee, Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, then overtly si Vice President Sara. But all of that happened do sa first year. No? First year.
Yung first year pa
2022 to 2023. Huwag mong kalimutan.
2022.
Huwag mong kalimutan, 2023, early 2023, naglabas ng resolution ang Senate at saka Congress defending Digong from the ICC.
Yes.
Di ba?
Yes.
At ang sabi ni Ombudsman Boyeng Remulla, pag pumasok ang ICC, ihahatid niya palabas ng bansa.
Oh, yeah, I
That
remember
was
that.
early 2023.
Tapos yung 2024 nga, it was made very public itong split in the unit team. In 2024 as well, yung mga issues included the POGOs, the ban on POGOs.
Pero yung January 2024, yung rally sa Davao, dyan unang lumabas yung Romanov.
Operation
Si-
Romanov.
No,
Against-
that was January 2025.
No,
January 28, 2025.
No, January 2025 was the rally of Iglesia ni Cristo. The rally in Davao was January 2024. Yun yung prayer rally na tinawag ni
Di ba ba
Digong.
yun? Si Digong yun. Natiyag niyang adik.
Bangag. Pero nagsalita rin si Kwan doon, si Baste.
Si Baste.
Na sinabi niya na yung baka magaya sa Romanov at saka kay Mussolini, yung pamilya Marcos. Doon nagsimula yun. Yung Romanov, na binanggit ni Baste. That was in 2025. No, that was 2024. I'm sure of that.
Okay. I will take your word for that.
He did his research on that.
Nauna kasi yun kay Sara.
Yeah, Sarah was November 2025
Yeah, kay Sara, hindi, yung sinabi yung Romanov Kwan, ano tawag yan? Yung Romanov conspiracy against the Duterte.
Project Romanov.
Let's talk about the economy and the economic promises, my favorite topic. So in 2022, the very first State of the Nation address by President Bongbong Marcos, naalala mo pa? Yung mga big economic targets that
Yes.
he mentioned? 6.5 to 8% GDP growth through to 2028, meaning from 2022 to 2028.
At that time, tayo daw fastest growing
We were the
economy.
fastest
Di ba?
in ASEAN. Yes, we were very much the fastest growing economy in ASEAN. And ang promise niya at that time was 6.5 to 8% GDP growth through to 2028, which
Pero even-
at this point in time feels very far away.
Yeah, but even then, it was basically functional enhancement. The substance still has to catch up. Di ba? The fundamentals have to catch up.
And don't forget, at that time, this is 2022, guys.
Tapos post-pandemic kasi yan.
Now we know that the economy was being pump-primed by flood control money, by corruption money.
Yes.
Because it was going into the wrong pockets. Ginagastos sa retail, ginagastos sa real estate, ginagastos sa food and hospitality, kung saan-saan man.
Tsaka post-pandemic, di ba?
Meron din revenge spending, correct?
Revenge spending yan.
So
Kaya nga
alam-
sinasabi ko, it's very functional.
Oo.
Hindi pa substance.
it's very shallow. It was a very shallow
Yeah.
growth. Kasi, again, hindi
Kaya
siya
madali
nag-trickle
siyang
down.
bumaba.
Ed,
Yeah, coming from pandemic kasi, so you had an economy that was in the doldrums. It's easy. Kumbaga, you're coming from the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah. Pero pwede
Mabilis
Go
sana,
up.
Oh, the base
the
is
numbers
low.
look good.
pero pwede
even
mo
if
sana,
it's not as fast
pwede mo
as...
sana inihabol yung substance.
Yeah.
Dahil kahit pa paano, positive yun Diba? Pwede mong hinabol yung substance para nagkaroon ka
well,
ng mas
hina-
solid.
they tried with BBM, Build Better More, di ba? Which is their version of the great infrastructure program that was started by previous administrations. Not just the Duterte administrations, but even Pinoy, even before.
Paano nung second SONA niya, pinagmalaki niya yung 5,000 flood control projects. That was the second SONA.
That was 2023.
Oo. Yung third SONA kasi, Pogos na yun Yung total ban on
Oo,
Pogos. No?
yung 2024, yun na
Yes.
yung big, yung hot issue in 2024 was the Pogo
Tapos,
ban.
2025,
Ito ang na-achieve. This is something that's objectively been achieved. In 2022, President Marcos said, we will hit upper middle income status by 2024. You cannot argue with that. We did hit upper middle income status.
in 2026.
It doesn't matter, but we still hit it.
Yeah.
We were 2 years late, but it doesn't matter. We're there. So now we're UMIC, upper middle income status.
But
That's
why do you have a smile on your face?
Because I'm a very smiley person.
Contextualize.
I mean, we all know the context. The context is a lot of people don't feel it, diba? So may
Because again, it was very functional.
it's
Kulang sa
In
substance.
other words, the aggregate growth showed it, but
was the average.
distribution of the growth.
Yeah, it was the average.
and it
It's
seemed
really lacking.
that our numbers were pulled up by OFW, so we're earning in dollars as
Yes.
opposed to, for example, like in Vietnam, the manufacturing growth really boosted
Yes.
local salaries,
Yeah.
diba? Gave people jobs.
Especially yung mga EV industry nila.
Oo, so talagang
Nag-boom.
organic yung growth nila, domestics, whereas yung sa atin, we were pulled up to upper middle income status because of the dollar earning OFWs.
Oh, tsaka naabot natin yung upper middle income status, pero tumaas ang ating unemployment. Tumaas ang ating inflation. Bumaba ang ating growth rate. Tumaas ang ating deficit.
Yes, so yun yung isa pa. So
At yung value ng peso gumuho.
correct. So again, in 2022, and this is worth looking at as a as a series, over a period of time instead of just the past year. Comparing 2022 to now, in 2022, President Marcos also promised the deficit will come down to 3% of GDP by 2028, and debt will fall below 60% by 2025. And of course, his signature campaign, the promise of 20 pesos a kilo rice.
Pero ikaw, Reg, as an economist, anong pwedeng gawin ni BBM dito sa SONA na ito onwards sa economy? With a very tight fiscal space, with the ongoing war in Iran, a continuing war, no, with debt becoming harder to get, with the higher interest rates. So, ano yung pwede mo magawa?
Well, first of all, I'm not an economist.
Slowdown, no?
But the single biggest and probably most important thing you can do is inspire public-private sector confidence. Ang private sector naman talaga ang nagpapaandar ng ekonomiya natin. Right?
But
Private consumption, private sector spending in this country is such a huge part of the economy. If you can inspire private sector confidence, if you look at the charts, I don't know if we have them, yung business confidence is down. In the last 3 years, it's been down. And that's it.
But how
That means on the ground, businesses are withholding spending because they're not sure about the future. They're not hiring people because they don't know if their business is going to grow.
Yes.
Yun eh.
So how will you inspire them to invest na hindi naman nagbago yung political terrain? The future is still uncertain.
That's the answer.
Yeah,
Hindi nagbago
It's
yung
gotten more
political
uncertain.
terrain. It's gotten more uncertain.
So,
It's what do businesses want? They just want certainty.
Saan mo kukunin? Where will you get it?
They want transparency, they want certainty, they want stability.
May slow down ka sa government spending.
Yeah.
no? So, ano yung magiging dynamo mo para makaalis dito? Unless, mismo yung ayuda mo na ipapump run nila is very limited hindi sustainable dahil dole out yan Diba? Tapos, paubos yung fiscal kan mo.
Yung space,
Space, diba?
Very, very tight already.
Hindi ko ma-imagine if I were in government, ano yung gagawin ko para ma-mitigate itong economic situation na ito. No.
It's really, as Ed said, it's all about the certainty and stability. If I don't have confidence that things will be stable, that we will follow the rule of law in contracts, that there will be accountability, that there will be strong institutions to hold people accountable, then wala.
Well, ang pinag-uusapan nila na positive is Pax Silica. Pero mahaba pang proseso yan.
Mahaba pa yan. Okay.
Mahaba pang proseso yan. Diba?
Well, let me
Let's circle back to Pax Silica in a bit kasi mahabang
Sige.
usapan yan. Right now, let's toss it out to Batasang Pambansa where President Marcos, of course, is about to deliver his 5th State of the Nation address. Let's get out to our One News anchor, Pauline Versosa, there for the latest. Pawi, what do you have?
Yes, Regina, Bok, and Ronald, we're just a few minutes away from President Marcos's 5th State of the Nation address here at the Batasang Pambansa. There's no sign yet of the president, but security remains tight here inside the complex ahead of the president's SONA, which is expected to start at 4 p.m. But lawmakers, cabinet officials, diplomats, and guests have begun arriving already. In fact, they're already starting to get settled inside the plenary hall ahead of the president's biggest political event this year. Now, just to give some context, Regina, Bok, and Ronald this year's SONA comes at a very crucial time for the Marcos administration, especially with only 2 years left in President Marcos's term. And expectations are really high that he will present a clearer roadmap today for the remaining years of his presidency. Palace Press Officer Claire Castro did say that President Marcos wrote his speech himself, and it will last for about an hour and 20 minutes. Now, not much details or specifics were provided about the contents of the president's speech, but they did say it will be simple and dignified. And that theme is really evident already here in the Batasang Pambansa. As you can see behind me, there is no traditional red carpet. The guests were also clad in very simple Filipiniana outfits and barongs, in keeping with the president's directive to keep this SONA quite modest and simple. But Regina, Bok, and Ronald, we also got to ask some lawmakers about some of their expectations. What do they expect President Marcos to emphasize and talk about in his 5th SONA? And here is what Congressman Toby Tiaco had to say. Kong, it's been a year since President Marcos uttered the now infamous words, "Mahiya naman kayo." Are you satisfied with how the government has pursued its investigation into this?
Alam mo, he will have to explain, di ba? Ano na yung status ng mahiya naman kayo? yung Ombudsman has said already and identified former Speaker Martin Romualdez as the biggest fish and the mastermind. And si former Speaker Martin Romualdez naman nagsabi na he will not go down alone at marami siyang alam tungkol sa gobyerno.
I also asked Congressman Toby Tiangco if he believes that the former speaker is indeed the mastermind of this flood control scandal, and he flat out answered a big yes. As you know, it's been exactly a year since President Marcos uttered those now infamous words, "Mahiya naman kayo." But a year later, people are still asking what exactly has been done. Has corruption been eradicated already? And does the Marcos administration have the political will to actually go after those who are responsible, even if it means going after their own allies? So that's something we will be watching out for this afternoon. Back to you guys.
Pauline, 2 years na sinasabi kasi ni Toby na si Martin Romualdez ang mastermind. No? Ang tanong ko, Pauline, yung pinaka-importanteng nangyari ngayon diyan, no? How was the red carpet?
What is the connection?
Yun yung pinaka-importante.
Naku, wala nang red
Sa
carpet,
SONA.
Ronald.
Simple
Sa
and
SONA.
modern
Marble
na
lang
daw
ang
eh.
Wala
wala.
na red carpet eh. Which is a good thing kasi minsan nagiging fashion.
Naging fashion show talaga.
Pero sino pinakamaganda ang suot? Hindi ko
Ako
wala
mahirap
kang masyado
sagutin yan,
pag-usapan
Ronald, kasi in previous years, di ba, meron pa rin talagang extravagant outfits. In fact, last year, I remember, the directive was to have simple attire na rin, di ba? Pero may ilan pa rin mga lawmakers na medyo maggarbo yung kanilang suot. But this year, napansin natin na talagang toned down yung kanilang suot for this year's SONA.
Pao, we're talking na rin about Martin Romualdez eh. Any sign of him? We understand he was not there this morning. Is he coming
Hindi
in?
siya
Do we
pupunta.
know this afternoon?
Hindi siya pupunta.
Well, so far, Bok, no sign yet of the former speaker. That's also one thing that we've been asking throughout the day if he will be attending the president's SONA. Because as we know, last year, katabi mismo ni President Marcos, si former House Speaker Martin Romualdez, even when he said those words, "Mahiya naman kayo." But this time around, there's no sign yet of the former speaker. We also don't know if this anticipated earth-shaking announcement of the president will pertain in any way to the flood control scandal and the alleged involvement of the former House Speaker.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll leave that. Since we're on the subject of fashion, Pao, what's with do we know the backstory to, I mean, I know you're not at the Senate, pero baka in case dumating na yung mga senators dyan, I don't know if you know the backstory to some of the senators wearing black today.
I think Senator Alan Peter Cayetano did say that he won't be attending the President's SONA today as a form of protest. So maybe that's why they also chose to wear black. We did see the Cayetano siblings wearing black when the Senate resumed its session today, as well as even the presidential sister, Senator Amy Marcos. We actually got to ask Majority Leader Senator Mig Zubiri also about the conflict between the majority and the minority, right? And he said, as the Majority Leader and even the chairperson for the Foreign Relations Committee, he wishes that senators are handling their issues diplomatically. Sabi nga niya, he's even been giving everyone ice cream because he wants to promote ice cream of diplomacy. He's also saddened that their politics have been, dominating the headlines instead of senators focusing on their duty, which is, of course, to legislate bills. But sabi nga ni Senator Zubiri kanina, peace na lang daw. Hopefully, he got to speak also to Senator Alan Peter Cayetano and naging maganda naman daw yung usapan nila. So hopefully, moving forward, starting tomorrow, diplomacy will prevail between both sides.
Wow. Ice cream diplomacy. I don't know if I like that or not, but...
Madali matunaw yun.
Madali matunaw.
Okay,
we'll
ice
leave
cream
that.
to be specific. Sabi ni Senator.
Well, couldn't hurt to try. We'll leave that there. Thanks so much for your reporting. One News Morning Matters anchor, Pauline Versosa, live from Batasang Pambansa. Thanks, Pao.
So anong alam mo with Martin Romualdez? He's not coming talaga. He's not naman sick.
No.
He just doesn't want to come.
No. Yes. Yes.
Which yes to what?
Yes.
Napakamono silabing mo naman.
Yes.
So, siya ba
Kaya
yung...
alam niya,
Teka
siya
lang, siya ba yung major announcement dito?
Oh, one of those, no? One of the most... hindi ko kasi maisip paano siya magiging major and na-file na siya last Friday.
Tsaka
diba?
people had been
Dapat dyan,
calling for
surprise,
his
diba?
head.
Yung ganun,
Yeah, oh.
Not unless...
That's why I'm saying
sasabihin
Zaldico. That's why I'm saying dapat Zaldico na.
Kaya
Nahuli na namin
di ba
si
sinabi
Zaldico.
ko na nga, nag-agree ako sa iyo, grudgingly.
Not unless may sasabihin si Bongbong Marcos about Martin Romualdez. To the effect na, for example, tutuluyan namin kahit kamag-anak ko.
Ganyan nga, pero ako na lang yun. Optics na lang yun.
Yeah,
Dahil na-file mo
but
na eh.
that's-
Tapos alam
this
naman
is
natin,
SONA eh.
alam naman natin ang ibig sabihin ng PI. Di ba?
Preliminary
Hindi naman yan ganun ka-dramatic, di ba?
Preliminary
Actually,
investigation.
PPI pa lang. Hindi pa siya, wala pa siya sa PI. It's
Diba?
a recommendation
Pero-
for PI.
Pero siyempre, pwede mo i-spin, di ba?
But nga, I can imagine
Nagsispin pa rin
a possible
tayo at this
spin is
point.
a possible spin is kahit kamag-anak ko, tutuhugin natin yan.
Oh, yan
I
yung
don't know.
parang kay Erap na walang kamag-anak,
Oo, walang kaibigan.
Parang gano'n. Pero parang,
Without even mentioning his name, people will get the
What
the drift.
do you guys make of what Pauline said that the palace insisted that he wrote it himself?
Yeah, they've been saying that for the past 2 days.
They have been saying that.
So I suppose it should be more to the point
Usually
and not
kasi-
as flowery as done by
Not as flowery,
Yeah.
more direct to the point.
actually, hindi
Wala
naman talaga
masyadong
sinulat yan.
ly-
Pero back and forth yan sa
lyricism.
mga writers niya.
Of course,
Back
of
and
course.
forth. No? Yan ang
Yeah.
ibig sabihin nun. no? Hindi naman literally siya yung
the
nagsulat.
meat came from him.
Yes. Tapos, pagbalik sa kanya, ayoko nito. Paltan niyo yan.
Bakit? It's not impossible for a world leader to write their own speech. Remember Mark Carney at the World Economic Forum? Oh,
Parang mas likely that the meat came from somebody else and then he was the one who put his tone to it.
Yan na. Yan sinasabi ko.
okay, balik na lang.
Di ba?
Balik na lang tayo sa Paxilica.
Yan na yung mga chopper.
Okay. These are live pictures, by the way, coming to us from the Batasang Pambansa. President Bongbong Marcos is expected to arrive any minute now for his to deliver his fifth
At
State of the Nation
isa pang
address.
nangyari ay hindi nag-mobilize yung
Ayan na
Iglesia
yung
ni
choppers.
Cristo.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Diyan. Parang isang ibang
People
sinasabi.
were waiting for that.
There's going to be a big one, no? A big rally.
It's
no?
it's
etc.
an anniversary.
Is that the presidential choppers? Yes. So, Paxilica, we like it or not?
Well, depende nga eh. Paano wala pa naman tayo nakikitang papeles eh. The devil is in the details eh.
Because they're still working on the framework.
Nga.
Working
Alam ko may
on the
nag-file na
framework.
ng legislation para tignan yan. No? Dapat kasi ang term of reference dyan is national interest. Diba? Yun naman yung mahalaga dyan eh. No?
But with the details we know already, like for example, sabi ng BCD, it will take up 3 gigawatts of electricity to run the whole compound, the whole complex.
Pero stages kasi yan eh. Meron kang 400 hectares, meron kang 1,000 hectares, meron kang 1,600 hectares. No, palaki ng palaki. No? Hindi naman kasi
You know,
sabay-sabay may tatayo yan.
Yeah, that's true.
Oo.
Tapos electricity is of a premium, no? Dahil nga electric intensive yung pag-produce ng microchip as well as water.
Yeah, and water.
Tapos ikatlo, labor. Dahil yung skill set ng ating labor force is packing, not the
At the
Assembly
Tayo
and
ulit.
packing.
No, not the production, no? Mas high-tech 'yon. So, siyempre, ayaw naman natin na imported ang labor na gagawa niya. Gusto natin may technology transfer, di ba?
Skills transfer as well.
Tapos gusto rin natin na hindi masyadong masira yung ating environment dahil major dyan ang mining. Cobalt, magnesium, nickel, and gold. No? Doon manggagaling yan eh. So, gusto natin ng safeguards. No? Tapos debate pa kung ano yung legal framework sa loob.
Yes.
Oo.
So they're working on that.
Yeah.
And Ed, I understand why yung 3 gigawatts of power has generated so much angst, so much controversy, so much anxiety because this is a country that's already suffering
High-
expensive and
Oo.
unreliable power.
And
I
then
get it.
We're always on the yellow alert.
Yes, but remember when we talked to BCDA President Jake Binkang, he said the idea is for it to be a
Self-contained.
self-sustaining little hub, and here we're looking at pictures of President Bongbong Marcos getting off his chopper.
Well, the president is, it's
Baka ma-mention din niya ang Pac Silica kahit in broad strokes.
I think he will.
Dahil nga major yan.
Major, and also there has been a lot of movement towards it, not just from the Philippine side, but the U.S. side is really pushing for us to get it off the ground. So remember what
to Bingkang sa
Bingkang
point
said.
na,
It's meant to be self-sustaining,
self-contained.
which means I don't imagine it's too far from the plan to build its own generation plant, its own transmission capacity, its own substations, etc., etc.
But 3 gigawatts?
I wouldn't think it's impossible. And again, it's a ramp up, right? Hindi
Not
naman
unless you put in a
hindi naman
nuclear-
Overnight.
Hindi naman 3 gigawatts kaagad-agad. Could be stages. Maybe it's a few hundred megawatts at the start, then they ramp up. It could be. We have to see the details. Again, wala pang framework, wala pang ano. They've just agreed to it on a very high level basis, but they've yet to work out the finer details of this.
Oh, andun yung si Kwan. Andun yung si Speaker. Diba? Parang nakita ko si Speaker.
Of course, Speaker Boji D has to be there.
Yeah, I
He's
mean,
the
si
one.
Speaker
Senate. No,
Isa Martin?
Yeah.
No.
siya?
We've seen House Speaker Boji D, Senate President Win Gatchalian, Senator Mig Zubiri, Kiko Pangilinan, Lito Lapid,
Si Libanan.
Congressman
Minsan
Libanan.
kasi magkakalaki sila.
Ito yung mga senior
Kakasize.
people in both chambers, the
Minority.
Senate and the lower house. And there's also Congressman, I think that's Jude Isidre.
No, that's not Judas Ito.
Medyo
Layo
malayo.
kasi. Di ba? Ilapit yung monitor natin.
There, that's House Speaker Boji D. And now he is shaking hands with these the spouses. Yes, I believe these are the spouses of the senators and the congressmen.
So typically the president stays for a while in the lounge.
President Marcos is wearing shaded glasses. That's Congressman Sandro Marcos. Is that what I'm seeing correctly? He's accompanied into the hall. Oh, sorry, not into the hall yet, but into the
It's a lounge of sorts.
meeting room with his son, Congressman Sandro Marcos.
So are you certain you saw Speaker,
Parang
former
lang,
Speaker
parang
Romualdez?
yung hugis lang, parang mabilis tsaka malayo. Kaya tinignan ko maigi. So,
See, that was Congressman J.J. Suarez pala. My apologies. That's Congressman J.J. Suarez, one of the deputy speakers of the House of
pag
Representatives.
naka-side view kasi, para sila ng laki.
And of course, you're wearing a mic when you said that.
Sige, ibulong mo pa.
Here we see the plenary, all in their seats and
Sabi mo kasi, reserve ako.
waiting for the president now whilst he conducts a quick meeting with the leaders of the House of Representatives and the Senate.
If you wonder why we keep talking about who we see, what's important kasi in events like these is ano eh,
Who's there and who's not.
there, but more importantly, who's not.
Who's not?
Diba? Who's in the Colombo, who's outside the Colombo.
Who's in the front rows, who are in the front rows, and who are not seen by the cameras. It does, by all accounts, seem, and this is the diplomatic corner. We're seeing some of our ambassadors. Ambassador Babe Romualdez is there. Some of our ambassadors, and also the papal nuncio, Charles Brown. It does seem like it's a much more
Subdued?
muted affair.
Yeah.
Which
It's just like you today.
I think which we appreciate.
Mabagay ako.
Here we have the officers of the
So, the Canadian ambassador.
some of the cabinet members are in this section. We saw Secretary Frederick Go together with Kiko Tiu Laurel, their spouses. I see Comelec Chair George Garcia in the
So,
wide shot.
We will await the first 5 minutes and keep our fingers crossed.
Again, this is President Bongbong Marcos holding a live meeting. Quick caucus with leaders of the both chambers of the House. That's the lower house and the Senate. Together with the First Lady Liza Araneta Marcos, of course.
Chubalo lang yan.
Chubalu.
Niceties.
Chikahan.
Yeah, of course.
Ano lang
Of
yan?
course.
Hi,
This is
hello.
part and parcel of every SONA anyways. He has to do this.
Yeah, you don't expect anything
It's
deep
not,
to happen.
it's not really a consultation.
It's not really a consultation. It's not a dialogue. It's just niceties. And of course, it's scheduled every time before he walks into the session hall, before into the plenary at 4 on the dot. Here again, the diplomatic corner before this. First 5 minutes of his speech will be the most important, you say.
You know, a while ago we were talking about how important it is for businessmen to see some hope and some light and inspire
Certainty.
some confidence for them to start putting money back in. Do you think, Ronald, that the past 3 or 4 weeks of the impeachment has given them any sort of confidence in the
No.
political stability and the rule of law in this country?
No, unless matapos yung impeachment. For or against conviction. Doon medyo meron silang linaw. Diba? Kung nakabitin pa rin yan, ba't ka mag-i-invest? Hindi mo alam kung mangyayari. Hindi mo alam kung sino yung magiging political center. Diba?
Hindi lang yun, but the crux of it is the more days they spend on this means time taken away from important legislative work.
Yeah.
Time taken away from what they should be, the problems that they should be solving. Chief of them, the economy. Chief of them, the fact that unemployment remains high, poverty rates remain high. So these are the things that are at the crux of the economy still have not been fixed. Pero yun nga, we're all focused on the impeachment because that's the big news
Pero
of the...
going into an election year, next year, practically, ito siguro yung pinaka-defining. No? Dahil para sa mga big businessmen, at least yung mga nakausap ko na mga big businessmen, para sa kanila ay very crucial itong magiging election sa 2028. No? For their businesses.
Of course.
For the big business. Dati kasi kahit sino manalo, they can adjust it. Ngayon, hindi ganon.
Hindi ganon.
Ngayon, hindi ganon. No? Kaya lahat nakatingin eh. From the SONA moving into 2028.
Because you have a situation wherein the pendulum could swing right back on the other side in
Yes.
terms of policy, in terms of direction, in terms of philosophy,
Geopolitics.
in terms of geopolitics. Everything could swing right back to the other side. And perhaps there's a very real risk na, as President Marcos himself said, baka i-undo yung kanyang legacy.
Even-
Everything that was instated before gets broken up again. And
Even
that is the
yung-
last thing the business people want.
Even yung pinag-uusapan natin na major pack silica may be affected. by 2020.
Everything could be affected. The
By
next
2028.
president, if it's, they could come in and tear up that agreement if they want.
Yeah.
It's a provisional agreement.
Yes, pero with other elections, pwede pang hindi masyadong
Kasi
ganun
hindi naman
ka-drastic eh.
kasi hindi
Ngayon-
naman magkaiba
ngayon very
yung
polarized eh.
ngayon it's incredibly polarized. So
Including the geopolitics of it.
so of course these next 2 years, what do? You just wait it out, right?
Yes.
Until you know for sure.
So walang major movements. No? Because you're waiting eh. Which is bad.
This is bad for 2 years, huh?
It is bad for us for an economy which is slowing down.
It's very bad. Unless of course, yun nga, they pump prime the economy through more
Through what?
infrastructure spending.
Through what?
Sila na magbubuhat.
Pero through what? New loans? Ano, saan mo kukunin? Yung
I mean,
pag-pump prime.
regardless,
Oh.
we have to take
Yeah.
out loans anyway. Alam mo naman, mataas na yung debt. So in order to just service that debt, you have to take out loans.
Yes, pero yung mga international banks ay hindi ganun ka-smooth yan, or ganun ka-open at this point dahil unpredictable din yung global climate. Di ba? Tapos yung interest ng mga loans, pataas lahat yan. Di ba? So,
One thing that might be a bright spot, as we were talking the week before, 2 weeks ago, was the shipbuilding industry. And of course, related to that is the defense industry. Kaya lang,
but that will take time.
for example, the planned ammunitions hub in Subic is in itself generating a lot of controversy.
Yeah, ang sinasabi ko lang, that will also take time.
That will take time.
Oo. Hindi yan mangyayari immediately in the next 1 to 2 years.
But you can lay the foundation now.
Yes.
For
pero
example, yung umalis na Korean shipbuilder, Hanjin.
oo. Pero yung gusto mo kasi ma-pump prime dahil sa slowdown
Infrastructure.
It won't happen immediately.
Oo, infrastructure spending na yun. The government has to take the lead on that. And enough of this ayuda culture.
Yun ang i-emphasize niya.
Yun
Yun ang i-emphasize niya dito.
Tama na,
Ayuda.
tama na itong ayuda
Oo.
culture. Come on, it's
Wala sila namang ibang, anong i-deliver nila? Except ayuda.
It's not sustainable. It doesn't
I agree.
generate
I
any
agree.
real value
Pero
to the
anong sasabihin
economy.
nila ngayon?
But you think he'll make an announcement to that effect? More ayuda?
I
That
think
sounds
so.
bad.
Dahil kailangan may sabihin ka about the economy.
Kasi hindi,
Wala kang sasabihin eh. Anong sasabihin mo?
well, I'm willing to bet there will be a mention of Pax Silica
Oh,
in
mas
terms
Pax
of
Silica
the
kaysa
number of
ayuda.
jobs,
Yes.
in terms of the investment.
Pero ang pinag-uusapan mo is anong gagawin for the next year. Paxilica will happen
Yeah, 2020
later,
going up,
di ba?
Hindi, as soon as 2027, they might break ground. Alam mo bakit nagmamadali ang US, right? Because it's a geopolitical thing for them. They have to move their supply chains out of Taiwan. Because if you believe that China is going to blockade Taiwan by 2027, then they're at real risk. Itong Apple, all these big tech companies rely so heavily
Yeah,
on
unless-
Taiwanese companies.
Unless China enters the Philippines through the front door.
Hindi naman. I wouldn't think so.
With a new pro-China president.
Yun nga eh, what if a Duterte wins in 2028?
Yeah.
How will that impact Pax Silica?
As a president, I have every prerogative to tear it up if I wanted to. If I argue that it's not for the nation's
Especially if
interests.
you are indebted to an enemy
Especially
of the
if
US.
hindi siya treaty eh.
oo.
It's just an agreement. Oo. So in that sense, if you believe
Kaya hindi papasok strongly in a final moment yung US until 2028. Even the Americans will look for the result of the 2028 election.
or if you believe the other side, their invisible hand is all over here as well.
Hindi ganun ka pa ng US. Unlike China.
I don't know,
unlike China. China talaga nagpapasok eh.
Oh.
US hindi masyado.
I mean, hindi
They
papasok sila sa Pax Silica in a
Hindi,
major
ibig
way
sabihin,
until
sa
2028.
politika.
after 2028.
Mag-i-invest in terms of huge resources para sa 2028
Hindi,
election.
for example, let me give you
Yun yung unsaid eh.
No, what's unsaid is that there are some quarters who believe that the U.S. is pulling the strings, right, behind the scenes. For example, there are people who believe that the AFP is indebted to the United States, for example, and that they take direction from the U.S.
Siguro to some extent. Pero halimbawa, nag-increase ng tariff ang US ng 12.5. That's not good.
On top of the 19% we
Yes,
still have.
that's not good, for the main ally nila rito.
Okay, very interesting news. We are getting word that former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo just arrived together with,
She always attends SONA. No?
she does, together with the First Lady, Liza Marcos.
Diba, last SONA, sabi niya, I will vote for Speaker Martin Romualdez. Sinabi niya yun publicly.
That she will support him. That's
Yeah.
true.
Oh.
I think it wasn't at the last SONA. Was it the last SONA
Last
or
one.
the
Last one.
2024?
Yeah, 2025.
At talaga magkasama sila ni Lisa Araneta.
I wonder.
Bibilip ka rin ka GMA, di ba?
Oo nga eh.
What does that say?
The real survivor.
Hindi, pero lahat yan. Sa lahat, picture taking, etc. Kahit mortal na kaaway niya si Speaker Martin noon, lagi silang magkasama sa picture taking.
Oo. May picture isang hilera sila, nakaganon pa si GMA.
Oh.
Baka siya yung major announcement.
She's a survivor.
Baka siya yung major announcement.
She's a survivor.
I-appoint si GMA.
Hindi, baka we've made peace with some people on the other side. Diba?
No, they will never trust JMA.
So, po yun, ah. That was Rob Llamas
Thank
for
you
you.
for making that clear. On the record, that was him.
Yeah. They may not be that sharp, but they're not that dull. Or dumb and dumber.
Or so you think. Or so you think. Malay mo, there's maneuvering behind this. Okay, here we go. Showtime. Everyone's up on their seats. Oh.
Huwag tayong natakot. Huwag tayong titiklop. Huwag tayong mawawalan ng pag-asa. Dahil ang Pilipino ay likas na matapang, magaling, masipag, matibay, at mabuti. Mga kababayan, tayo ito. Tayo ang bagong Pilipino.
Okay, we just have a few minutes before the start of the President's fifth State of the Nation address. I think these are live pictures coming from RTVM. The President now on the way out of the lounge area where he met with House and Senate leaders, and now begins the march towards the session hall.
Mag-isa siya. Usually may kasama yan.
The video that they played back just before he walked out is very interesting. I think it gives a flavor of what he's going to say today. If napansin nyo, the videos had to do with the flood control projects that he inspected, as well as some solar farms. So those are two themes that I think he will be touching on today.
Parang not unexpected.
Not entirely unexpected, but will be interesting to see what news he has to deliver. I don't know if there's music as he's walking through the halls.
Iba to naglalakad siya mag-isa. Usually inahatid siya ng leaders
But
ng both
si
houses.
President Duterte din mag-isa naglakad eh. Remember? And I remember one of President Duterte's last sonas was very
And now, the
cinematic.
plenary hall. Can we have some audio, please?
Sino yan?
Marcos Jr.
On the part of the Senate, the joint session is called to order.
On the part of the House of Representatives, the joint session is called to order. Please rise for the singing of the Philippine National Anthem to be led by the Philippine Charity Sweepstakes Chorale.
Bayang magiliw, pelas ng silanganan, alam ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, tuyag ka ng magiting, sa manlulupi, di ka pasisiil, sa dagat at bundok, sa langit mong buhay, mahirap ang tulas, paglayang minamahal, ang kisap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagdidingding, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pang may di magdidilim, lupa ng araw ng buwan ating pagsinta, buhay ay langit sa piling mo, aming ligaya na pag may mga api, ang mamatay ng dahil sa'yo.
Please remain standing for the awiting panalangin to be performed by Ruben Don Diego Laurente.
Ladies and gentlemen, honorable members of the 20th Congress of the Philippines, ang Pangulo ng Republika ng Pilipinas, kagalang-galang Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.
Former President Gloria Macapagal Arroyo, Senate President Sherwin Gatchalian, and honorable members of the Senate, House Speaker Faustino D. III, and honorable members of the House of Representatives, Chief Justice Alexander Gesmundo, and honorable justices of the Supreme Court, His Excellency, the Most Reverend Charles John Brown, and esteemed members of the Diplomatic Corps, Executive Secretary Ralph Recto, and honorable members of the Cabinet, First Lady Luis Araneta Marcos, other distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. Mga kababayan ko, naririto ako muli upang tuparin ang ating katungkulan at magbigay ng ulat sa inyo tungkol sa estado ng ating bansa at sa mga ginagawa ng inyong pamahalaan. Isang taon na ang nakalipas mula noong huli akong tumayo rito upang ilantad ang katiwalian na nadiskubre namin sa mga flood control project. Gaya ng aking ipinangako sa inyo, nagsagawa tayo ng malawakan at malalimang investigasyon na walang pagkikiling kahit kanino man. Masusi nating sinuri at sinundan kung saan tayo itinuro ng ebidensya. Lahat ng kailangang gawin ay ginawa natin upang matuntun ang punot dulo. Mayroon ng mga unang nakasuhan at nakulong, mga kontratista, matataas na opisyal, pati na mga mambabatas. At dumating na tayo sa punto na ayon sa Ombudsman ay malapit na ang paghain ng patong-patong na kaso laban sa dating Speaker. Masakit man sa akin ito, ngunit kailangan nating gawin ang tama. Hindi ako pangulo ng aking pamilya. Hindi ako pangulo ng aking kaibigan. Ako ay pangulo ng Pilipinas at ang tungkulin ko ay sa inyo, ang aking mga kapwa Pilipino. Kaakibat ng mga naisampang mga kaso, tiniyak ng inyong pamahalaan na mababawi mula sa mga nagsabwatan ang nakuha nilang pera ng taong bayan. Gayon din, pinigilan natin ang paglabas ng pera ng bayan na ipambayad pa dapat sa mga depektibo, peke o guni-guning mga proyekto at mapupunta lamang sa mga bulsa ng mga tiwalaing kontraktor at opisyal. Halos 25 bilyong piso ang halaga ng nabawi, frozen at napreserbang mga pera at ari-arian ng mga akusado. Ang mahigit 800 milyong piso dito ay agad nating nabalik sa Treasury. Lahat ng mababawi mula sa mga sangkot na tiwali ay agad ibabalik sa kaban ng bayan. Ipinapaubaya na natin ang pag-uusig sa Ombudsman at sa ating mga pinalakas na National Prosecution Service. Nananalig din tayo sa makatarungang hatol ng hukuman. Makakaasa kayo na ang gulong ng hustisya ay tumatakbo. Sa kabila ng mga kaganapang ito, kailangan natin umusad tungo sa pagbabago. Nakatulong ang lahat ng mga ulat at hinaing ninyo sa isumbong na Pangulo, ang inyong pagbabantay at pakikialam sa pamahalaan ay ang susi sa paglaban sa katiwalian. Ang reforma sa DPWH ay nagsimula na. Nagpasok tayo ng mga bagong graduate kasama ang mga tuwid at maasahang mga job order at contract of service. Bukod sa mga flood control project, lahat ng mga proyekto ay sinuri at tiniyak na talagang kinakailangan at maayos mula sa plano, presyo hanggang pagpapatupad. Para walang overpricing, sinigurado natin na ang mga materyales ay ayon sa presyo sa merkado. Bantay sarado ang bawat proyekto at ang nakalaang pondo sa transparency portal, integrity chain at katuwang na ang mga civil society organization. Mula nung tumama sa ating bansa ang epekto ng giyera sa gitnang silangan, nagdeklara tayo agad ng State of National Energy Emergency. Iisa ang ating misyon, uplift, ang iahon ng ating nahihirapang mga mamamayan. Ang lahat ng mga ahensya ay inatasang magtipid at pagtuunan mabuti ang mga programa na mas mahalaga sa pagtugon sa mga epekto ng krisis. Ibinuhos natin ang pondo kung saan karapat-dapat at mas kinakailangan sa mga pangunahing serbisyong ramdam at tiyak na makakatulong sa ating mamamayan. Ang pera ng taong bayan na muntik mapunta sa bulsa ng mga tiwaling opisyal ay naisalba natin. At sa halip na nagamit natin sa mabuti at para sa tunay na kapakanan ng mamamayan. Ibinaba natin ang karagdagang halos 58 bilyong pisong pondo sa mga lokal na pamahalaan para mas mabilis at mas malawak ang paglingap sa taong bayan. Mataas ang tiwala at kumpiyansa natin sa mga lokal na pamahalaan. Ito ay paghahanda na rin para sa mas marami at mas malawak na serbisyo para sa kanilang mga nasasakupan. Nagsimula tayo doon sa mga direktang naapektuhan ng kaguluhan. Ang pagsaklolo sa ating mga kababayang OFW na naipit sa digmaan. Mahalagang misyon ito ng pamahalaan. Gayong lagpas 2.2 milyong Pilipino ay naghahanap buhay sa Middle East. Simula nung naputok ang gera, mahigit 12,000 kababayan natin ang ating naiuwi sa bansa na ligtas. Mahigit 140,000 OFW naman ang ating nabigyan ng sari-saring tulong sa gitna ng kaguluhan sa Middle East. Tulad ng pagkain, tulong pinansyal, pagpapagamot at masisilungan. Pag-uwi sa Pilipinas, sila ay ating tinulungan upang makapagsimula muli sa pagpahanap buhay sa pamamagitan ng Action Fund at OWA Kabuhayan Program. Ang iba naman ay nilapit natin sa peso o kaya'y sinama natin sa bayanihan para sa balikbayang manggagawa job fair. Samantalang ang iba ay tinulungan natin makapaghanap buhay muli sa ibang bansa. Bukod sa kanila, ang mga magbabalik natin mga gurong OFW ay papasok na sa mga public school natin kung saan sila ay higit na kinakailangan. Dahil dito sa Pilipinas, sila ang ma'am at saka ang sir. Patuloy ang ating ugnayan sa iba't ibang bansa at ang suporta natin sa mga OFW para sa kanilang kaligtasan. Lalo na at may mga kababayan tayong nasawi o hanggang ngayon ay nawawala sa Middle East. Pangalawa, bunga ng ating magandang ugnayan sa iba't ibang bansa. Natiyak nating sapat ang supply ng langis para sa ating pangangailangan. Sa kabila ng pagsara ng Strait of Hormuz ay nagawa natin makabili at makapag-angkat mula sa ibang pagkukunang bansa tulad ng Japan, South Korea, Oman, India, maging sa Russia, pati na sa China. Dahil sa mga ito, natiyak natin na sapat ang supply ng bansa na tatagal hanggang halos 2 buwan. Nakipag-usap din tayo sa Iran para sa kaligtasan ng ating libo-libong mga kababayang tripulante na nasa Strait of Hormuz. Sa kooperasyon ng ating mga kumpanya ng langis, hindi naging biglaan ang pagtaas ng presyo ng petrolyo, kundi paunti-unti sa loob ng 1 linggo. Ito ay para naman maging magaan sa ating nahihirapang mga consumer. Nagtakda rin tayo ng sunod-sunod at malalaking mga price rollback na kailangan tuparin ng mga kumpanya ng langis. Sa tulong ng batas na naipasa ng Kongreso, agad din natin nasuspindi ng 3 buwan ang pagpataw ng excise tax sa LPG at saka sa kerosene. Bukod dito, Agad din natin nilimitahan ang pagtaas ng presyo na inaangkat nating bigas. Inaresto at kinasuhan din natin ang mga nahuling nagsasamantala sa kabila ng pagdurusa ng taong bayan habang may state of energy emergency. Lahat ng posibleng gawin para mababa ang presyo at mapabagal ang pagtaas nito, ginawa natin. Marami ang naapektuhan o kaya nawalan ng trabaho sa panahong ito. Kaya tuloy-tuloy ang pagsasagawa natin ng mga job fair sa buong bansa. Nitong Mayo 1, araw ng paggawa at kasagsagan ng mataas na presyo ng krudo, nagsagawa tayo ng halos 100 job fair, kung saan halos 300,000 trabaho ay pinagbigay alam natin sa publiko. Sa isang araw ng job fair na ito, lagpas 6,000 Pilipino ang hired on the spot. Dito rin natin ipinamahagi ang mga sweldo para sa mahigit 100,000 benepisyaryo at nagtatrabaho sa ilalim ng dilip at tupad ng DOLE. Kumilos agad tayo upang pigilan ang mabilis na pagtaas ng presyo ng bilihin. Hinikayat ang mga bangko at e-wallet na magbawas ng kanilang karaniwang singil sa bawat transaksyon na online. Kaya ngayon, maraming bangko at e-wallet na nagbaba o nagtanggal ng kanilang sinisingil sa online transaction fee. Upang makaluwag din sa mamamayan, nagbigay ang mga bangko ng hanggang 6 na buwang palugit sa pagbabayad ng utang at hanggang 1 taon naman kung ang utang ay ginamit para sa agrikultura. Ganito rin ang ginawa ng GSIS at SSS para sa mga utang ng mga miyembro nito, pati na ang NHMFC para sa mga umutang ng murang pabahay at ng Pag-ibig Fund para sa mga naapektuhan na OFW. Kahit papano ay nakaluwag ito sa mga consumer, lalo na sa mga naghuhulog para sa kanilang bahay at sa mga nagpupundar para sa kanilang negosyo. Sa panahon na lumiit ang kita dahil sa mataas ng mga presyo, mahigit 26,000 toneladang bigas ang binigay sa mahigit 2.5 milyong pamilya. At ito'y itutuloy pa natin hanggang umabot sa 8 milyong pamilya na makikinabang. Patuloy pa rin ang programang Benteng Bigas Meron Na. Ito'y nakakapagbigay ginhawa sa mahigit 12 milyong Pilipino sa buong bansa. Ang mahigit 800 nating kadiwa ay nasa buong Pilipinas ay sabay pa rin nakakatulong sa mga namimili at sa mga magsasaka at mangingisda na direktang nakakapagtinda ng kanilang mga produkto. Nagbigay din tayo ng suporta sa halos 2 milyong magsasaka at mangingisda sa kasagsagan ng mataas na presyo ng langis sa ilalim ng Presidential Assistance to Farmers, Fisherfolk and Families o yung tinatawag na PAF. Dahil sa mas malakas, malawak at mura nating internet, naging mainam na alternatibo ang online classes at saka ang ating work from home. Mataas ang presyo ng ating kuryente, lalo na ngayong Hunyo, dala pa rin ng mataas na presyo ng krudo at paglakas ng dolyar. Gayunpaman, tiniyak natin na nabigyan ang mamamayan ng kaunting proteksyon sa kanilang electric bill. Ipinag-utos natin ang agarang pag-refund ng mga kumpanya ng kuryente na may sobrang nasingil sa mga customer nito. Ipinag-utos din natin na payagan ang ilang piling consumer na makapagbayad ng kanilang bill ng hulugan sa buwan ng Mayo, Hunyo at Hulyo. Kaugnay nito, pansamantala nating pinagbawal ang mga pagputol ng linya habang hinuhulugan pa nila ang kanilang bill sa mga buwang ito. Para sa ating mga micro-entrepreneur, ipinatupad natin sa BIR sa ngayong taon ang one-time tax abatement. Layunin nito na makapagbigay ng kaunting ginhawa sa mga nalugi o kaya lumiit ang kita dala ng hirap ng panahon. Ang sektor ng transportasyon ang pinakamatinding tinamaan ng epekto ng krisis. Super, operator, pasahero, manggagawa o negosyo man, lahat ay umaray sa matarik na pagtaas ng presyo ng produktong petrolyo. Ngunit hindi natin kayang hayaan tumigil o maantala ito dahil ito ang nagsisilbing piston ng ating ekonomiya. Ang mga super ay natulungan ng cash relief mula sa ating programang AIX. Mayroon din 10 piso kada litro na diesel subsidy para sa mga pampasaherong jeepney at UV Express upang may dagdag na pangkarga. Bukod pa rito, mahigit 1,800,000 nagpapasada ang nahandugan din ng tulong ng AIX. Para naman sa mga pasahero, nagkaroon ng mga libreng sakay kung saan sinigundahan pa ng ilang mga ahensya ng pamahalaan gamit ang kanilang mga sasakyan. Humalili rin ang DA sa paghatid ng mga kargamento ng produktong agrikultural sa mga sentro ng kalakalan sa buong bansa. At para lalo pang makatulong ng sabay sa super at pasahero, binuhay natin ang service contracting program para sa pampublikong bus at ang ating mga jeep. Sa ilalim ng sistemang ito, ang kwalipikadong operator o driver ay nakakakuha ng karagdagang kita sa bawat kilometrong tinakbo sa pagserbisyo ng mga pasahero. Sa panig naman ng pasahero, kung hindi man libre ang sakay, meron silang 20% na discount sa pamasahe. At ang diskwentong ito ay dagdag pa sa karaniwang 20% discount para sa mga estudyante, sa senior at saka sa may kapansanan. Ibig sabihin, para sa ating mga priority passengers, 40% ang kabuuang diskwento nila sa pamasahe. Nariyan din ang tupad, tuloy pasada, kung saan nagkaroon ng dagdag na kita ang mga super na pampasada. Sa mga programang ito pa lang, milyong-milyong Pilipino, driver man o pasahero, ang nakaramdam ng kaunting ginhawa sa kanilang mga biyahe araw-araw mula nang ito'y nailunsad. Dito sa Metro Manila, ang lahat ng mga sumasakay ng LRT2 at MRT3 ay patuloy na nagiginhawaan ng 50% diskwento sa pamasahe. Bukod pa ito sa mga espesyal na diskwento na ating ibinibigay tuwing linggo at mahahalagang kapistahan. Sa ating mga paliparan at pantalan, pansamantala nating binaba ang sari-saring mga bayarin sa paggamit ng mga pasilidad, gaya ng terminal fee, landing and take-off fee, harbor fee, anchorage at berthing fee, pati mga storage fee. Halimbawa, sa Cebu Port, naging libre ang terminal fee. Sa mga paliparan naman, ang service charge sa mga pasahero ay binawasan din natin. Gayon din sa PITX, ang terminal na nag-uugnay ng Metro Manila sa Katimugan. Sinuspindi natin ng 3 buwan ang pagsingil ng terminal fees sa mga pampasaherong sasakyan. Sa mga expressways naman, sila ay may diskwento sa toll fee na umabot hanggang halos 200 piso. At kapag ang kargamento naman, ay pagsakay ng roro ay produktong agrikultural at sangkap ng pagkain, binaba natin mula 500 ang terminal fee. Ngayon, piso na lang ang sinisingil sa kanila. Sa pagdaan naman nila sa mga expressway, libre ang toll fee ng mga truck na accredited ng Department of Agriculture. Dahil sa lahat ng mga pinatupad na ito, milyong-milyong Pilipino ang kahit papano ay direktang nakaramdam ng tulong sa panahon ng mataas na presyo ng petrolyo. Sila ang ating mga super ng pampublikong sasakyan, mga estudyante, manggagawa, pati na rin ang mga magsasaka at marami pang pasahero sa buong Pilipinas. Mga kababayan, sa ating pagbalik tanaw, kaya ko kayong harapin at sabihin na ginawa natin ang lahat ng nararapat upang malunasan ang mga epekto ng krisis. Agarang kumilos ang buong pamahalaan upang tumulong sa mamamayan. Sa katunayan, Tayo pa ay hinahangaan ngayon dahil sa bilis, liksi at pagiging aktibo ng ating pagtugon. Libuang buwan mula sumiklab ang digmaan, ramdam pa rin natin ang bigat ng mga epekto nito sa ating bansa. Hanggang kailangan, asahan ninyo na hindi titigil ang pagsuporta ng pamahalaan. Naglaan tayo ng mahigit 60 bilyong piso para dito hanggang sa katapusan ng taon. Ang pondo na naisalba natin na balak ibulsa ng mga tiwaling opisyal ay sa taong bayan natin ibinubuhos. Ngayon, ipipihit natin ang mga programa sa mas nangangailangan nating kapwa Pilipino para naman mas malawak at mas marami ang maaabot ng tulong. Layunin natin matulungan ng 3.2 milyong benepisyaryo ng 4Ps at walang gutom program, ang 1.2 milyong minimum wage na manggagawa ng miyembro ng SSS at ang 2.2 milyong kababayan nating mahirap na hindi pa naging benepisyaryo ng programang pang-ayuda ng pamahalaan. Nariyan pa rin ang nakaabang na pagsuporta natin para sa sektor ng transportasyon, agrikultura at mga OFW na apektado ng kaguluhan. Kung susumahin, mahigit 7.2 milyong pamilya na lubos na nangangailangan ang matutulungan natin sa mabigat na kabanatang ito. Ngunit, hindi natin kaliligtaan ang ating mga manggagawang Pilipino, lalo na ang mga middle class, pati na ang mga maliliit na negosyo. Alam natin na sila rin ay nabibigatan sa epekto ng krisis. So, to ensure the continued progress of the middle class amidst the lingering effects of the crisis, we will pursue tax relief measures that promote growth, that generate revenue, and advance equity towards socio-economic sustainability. Kaya bilang natatanging proteksyon sa kanila at para mas mapakinabangan nila ang pinaghirapan nilang kita, nananawagan ako sa Kongreso upang maipasa ang batas na magbibigay ng bahagyang ginhawa para sa ating bayaring buwis. Una, palawakin natin ang exemption sa income tax. Dagdagan natin ang mga manggagawang malilibre sa buwis sa kanilang kita. Isasama na natin ang mga kumikita ng hindi lalagpas sa 350,000 pesos kada taon. Kasabay nito ang karampatang pagbaba ng income tax ng iba parang manggagawa. Pangalawa, ang mga maliliit na negosyo ay hindi napapatawan ng minimum corporate income tax. Pangatlo, para mapanatag ang loob ng taong bayan ang pagbigay ng amnesty para sa mga hindi nabayarang buwis tulad ng income tax, estate at donors tax at value-added tax. Kasama na rin dyan ang mga multa na kaakibat ng mga ito. Malinaw ang mga leksyon sa atin ng mga nagdaang buwan. Una, ang kahalagahan ng seguridad at katatagan ng bansa pagdating sa enerhiya at sa pagkain, ng ating ugnayan sa ibang bansa at ng bawat mamamayan kahit saan man sila naroroon. Pangalawa, ang abilidad ng pamahalaan na kumilos agad sa angkop at mainam na paraan. At ang ikatlo, ang pagpursigi at pagnatyag ng Pilipino sa kabila ng mga hamong dumadaan. Dala ang mga sariwang leksyon nito, mas maayos at mabilis ang pagresponde natin sa ating mga naging biktima ng sakuna. Tulad sa nangyaring paglindol sa Visayas at Mindanao kamakailan, mahigit 600,000 pamilya ang ating nasakluluhan. Lampas 3 bilyong piso ang ating binuhos para sa agaran tulong sa mga pamilyang lubos na naapektuhan. Ito ay sa pamamagitan ng pagkain, pagpapagamot, tulong pinansyal at pabahay. Unti-unti na rin nating naayos ang supply ng tubig at kuryente linya ng komunikasyon at mga daan sa mga apektadong lugar. Hindi lamang minsang paghatid ng tulong ang ating ginagawa. Ang misyon natin ay sila'y muling makabangon at maitaguyod. We have moved on from the reactive approach. Now we are not only proactive, but predictive as well, aided by digital tools. The strategies of public-private supply chains, hubs and spokes, warehousing, automated production, and wide-scale pre-positioning of food and non-food supplies in LGUs have proven their efficacy. We have now established a network consisting of primary disaster resource centers in Luzon, in Visayas, and soon in Mindanao, 15 hubs, 76 spokes, and 919 last-mile facilities across the country, which makes up our nationwide disaster response infrastructure. Because of this robust system, delivery of emergency nourishment and relief to target areas is now made possible under 24 hours. Sa panahon ng krisis o kalamidad, handa na ang pamahalaan sa pagpapadala ng mga mobile energy system upang makapaghatid ng emergency power sa mga lugar na nawalan ng kuryente. Complementing these are our government emergency communication system and the private sector-led and our first ever satellite-to-mobile service, both of which guarantee uninterrupted telecommunications nationwide in the event of crises and of disasters. At dahil meron na tayong konsepto ng state of imminent disaster, hindi na natin hinihintay na mangyari ang sakuna. Aagapan natin ang paghahanda at pagresponde. And so, taking all these lessons to heart, our overarching mission and all our conscious efforts henceforth must not be to simply uplift, but to ensure security and self-sufficiency of our nation and of our fellow Filipinos. Sa nasaksihan nating pagtaas ng presyo ng petrolyo, maraming kababayan natin ang umasa sa pampublikong sasakyan. Kaya't pinagtutuunan natin ng mabuti ang ating mga tren, mga busway, transport hub at integrated terminal at ang pagpapaganda at pagpapalawak ng mga paliparan at pantalan sa buong bansa. Ito ay upang mas malawak at malayo ang naaabot, tumaas ang kapasidad at maging moderno at mas maginhawa ang serbisyo. Halimbawa, sa susunod na taon, ang mga tren ng North-South Commuter Railway ay tatakbo na sa pagitan ng Valenzuela at Malolos. Sisikapin ng DOTR na sa pagtapos ng administrasyong ito, tapos na rin ang railway hanggang sa Clark. Sa susunod na taon, bubuksan na rin ang 12 stasyon ng MRT-7. Matapos ang halos 3 dekada, may bago ng linya ang MRT na tutulak pa hanggang Sacred Heart sa Quezon City mula sa North Avenue. At balang araw, aabot pa ito hanggang San Jose del Monte, Bulacan. Sadyang napakalaking ginhawa nito sa halos 1 milyon na pasahero bawat araw. Thanks to the recently enacted Accelerated and Reformed Right-of-Way Act, right-of-way issues are now more quickly resolved, removing the biggest choke point in our mass transit development program. Sa kabilang banda, yung unang bahagi ng Cebu Bus Rapid Transit ay bukas na. At yung nasa Ilocos Norte naman ay ating pasisinayaan sa susunod na taon. Ang mga nag-modernize ng mga sasakyan, lalo na ang mga lumipat sa mga hybrid at electric vehicle, ay hindi nakaramdam ng kurot ng pagtaas ng presyo ng petrolyo. Consistent with our clean energy drive, we have encouraged the adoption of electric vehicles. We have removed all tariffs on EVs until 2028 to bring down market prices. And government has also been mandated to prioritize electric vehicles and their refleeting plans. This clean and green policy is two-pronged. It shall also spur growth of our domestic local industries across the EV value chain, specifically those involved in the vehicle assembly and manufacturing of batteries and related spare parts. Mitiin natin na sa pagdating ng 2040, kalahati ng mga sasakyan natin ay EV na. Ang ilang makabagong love bus at ang articulated bus na gagamitin sa Davao City, mga EV na. Ang MB Dalaray naman na pinasayaan natin kamakailan lamang ay isa ring EV na nabuo sa pagtutulungan ng UP at saka ng DOST. Sa darating na panahon, ang ganitong electric ferry boat ang gagamitin sa Pasig River Ferry Service mula Pinagbuhatan sa Pasig hanggang Escolta sa Maynila. Kaya hinihiling ko ang suporta ng buong industriya upang mapaandar na natin sa lalong madaling panahon ang ating minimiting modernisasyon ng mga pampublikong sasakyan. Titiyakin natin na magiging makatao, magaan at makatarungan ang pagpapatupad nito. Tulad ng aking nabanggit, dapat mataas ang kalidad, matibay at maghahatid ng pangmatagalang ginhawa sa taong bayan ang lahat ng pampublikong infrastruktura. Ngayong taon, matatapos na ang bahagi ng South Luzon Expressway TR4 mula sa Santo Tomas City, Batangas, papuntang Tiaong sa Quezon. Halos 17,000 motorista araw-araw ang makikinabang dito. Ang mga nasirang tulay sa San Juanico sa Eastern Visayas, Kabagan Santa Maria sa Isabela, Pigatan sa Cagayan, Kalbigan at Liloan sa Samar, at Panuliran sa Iligan ay kaagad nating naayos at ngayon nagagamit na muli. Bukod sa 137 evacuation center na naitayo sa buong bansa, magsisimula na ngayon taon ang pagpapatayo ng Ligtas Pinoy Centers. Una doon sa mga lugar na madalas tamaan ng hagupit na panahon, tulad ng Bicol, Eastern Samar, Bukidnon, Davao de Oro. Ang mga gusali na ito ay dinisenyo upang kayanin ang mga malubhang kalamidad tulad ng super typhoon na 340 kilometers per hour, ang lakas ng hangin at ang magnitude na 8.4 na lindol. Ganon din dapat ang taas ng kalidad at tibay ng lahat ng pribadong infrastruktura. Ang lahat ng gusali sa ating bansa ay dapat handa at kayang manatiling matatag at nakatindig laban sa anumang banta ng sakuna at kalamidad. Kaya akmal lamang ng bigyang halaga at pagtuunan ang pag-amyenda ng National Building Code upang maging alinsunod ito sa mga modernong pamantayan. Katambal ng paglaban sa katiwalian, kaugnay ng mga ghost at substandard na flood control project, naglunsad din tayo ng Oplan kontrabaha sa buong bansa. Dito sa Metro Manila, masigasig ang ginagawang paglilinis ng mga estero at imburnal sa pangunguna ng MMDA. Nakakatulong ang mga Cash for Work program sa malawakang paglilinis na mahigit 200 estero at waterway mula sa Luzon hanggang Mindanao, sa Ilocos Sur, sa Cagayan, sa Camarines Sur, Negros Occidental, Cebu, Capiz, Iloilo, Lanao del Norte, Maguindanao del Sur, Misamis Oriental at Bukidnon. Sa kabila ng mga ginagawa nating ito, kailangan pa rin nating iwasto ang ating pamamaraan sa pagtapon ng basura. One systemic intervention is to update our 25-year-old Ecological Solid Waste Management Act, aligning it with modern waste management practices such as waste to energy and waste treatment technology. As we recalibrate our solid waste management systems, we can draw inspiration from the solid waste management practices being championed by the MMDA here in Metro Manila. such as waste recovery, processing, upcycling. For example, what used to be the Carmona sanitary landfill of the 1990s is now the MMDA Nature Park. And more than a multi-purpose green space, it shall soon be the base of its high-level disaster preparedness training and simulation exercises. Gayon din, ang ating sistema ng agrikultura ay pinapatatag natin upang magarantiya ang ating supply ng pagkain at maipababa ang presyo nito para sa lahat. Ang sari-saring mga programa tulad ng puhunan, farm input, kagamitan, kaalaman, pati na insurance ay tumutulong sa mga magsasaka at mangingisda. Kaya mula noong 2023, patuloy na tumataas ang produksyon ng bansa. Lumalakas ang cropping intensity, dumadami ang ani tulad ng palay, mais, asukal, baboy at manok. Dala ito ng malakas na buhos ng suporta sa sektor. Ang gumaganda at lumalawak na sakop ng infrastruktura at sistema ng irigasyon at tumataas na antas ng mekanizasyon. Nagbubuklod na rin ang mga magsasaka at mangingisda at nabibigyan ng makabagong teknolohiya, binhi at mga pasilidad at kagamitan. Ilan sa mga ito ay ang 145 rice processing system, 3 malaking cold storage facility at halos 40,000 makinarya. Ang mga taniman naman ng niyog ay dumadami at lumalawak din, dala ng ating programa na malawakang pagtatanim sa buong bansa. Nakapagtanim na tayo ng 18 milyong puno at layunin po natin na sa pagkatapos ng administrasyong ito, makakapagtanim tayo ng 100 milyong puno ng niyog sa Pilipinas. Gagarantiyahin ito ang tatag ng ating industriya ng niyog hanggang sa mga susunod na dekada. Ang NFA din ay ngayon may mas malakas na ang kakayahan sa pagbili ng mga ani ng magsasaka sa mas magandang presyo at sa pag-imbak ng buffer stock. Ang mga sari-saring peste at sakit na ay nagbabantang manira ng mga inaasahang magandang kita. Halimbawa rito, ang avian flu at saka yung ASF. Kaya tinitiyak ng DA na ang mga magsasaka ay natututo ng mga makabagong kaalaman at mga mainam na paraan sa pag-iwas at paglaban sa mga ito. Gayunpaman, ang insurance ay nagsisilbing mabisang panangga laban sa pagkalugi dala ng pagkawala o pagkasira sa hindi inaasahang pangyayari. Sa nakalipas na 4 na taon, natulungan ang sektor upang mabawi ang halaga ng pinsala sa hanapbuhay na umabot sa 19 bilyong piso halaga na kabayaran. Ang crop insurance ngayon ay hindi limitado sa mga pananim. Kasama sa saklaw nito ang mga alagang hayop, palaisdaan, mga gamit at pasilidad, pati sasakyan na pang-agrikultura. Meron ding life insurance para sa mismong magsasaka at mangingisda. Papalawigin pa ng Philippine Crop Insurance Corporation at DA ang kaalaman ng mga magsasaka at mangingisda tungkol sa crop insurance. Upang makapagbigay ng kapanatagan sa isipan ng mga benepisyaryo ng agrarian reform, wala tayong tigil sa pamamahagi ng mga titulo sa lupa na ginawad sa kanila. Kaya sa loob ng 4 na taon, lagpas 400,000 titulo na ang suma total ng atin na ipamahagi sa kanila, na may kabuong lawak na mahigit 500,000 hektarya. Tatapusin na natin ang pamamahagi ng mga titulo sa susunod na taon. Marami sa benepisyaryo ang naghintay ng 30 hanggang 60 taon. Ang iba mapalad na nasaksihan ang paglabas ng kanilang titulo. Sa tagal naman ng panahon, yung iba, apo na ang tumanggap. Gayon din, kahalaga sa kanila ang seguridad na hatid ng kalayaan mula sa pagkalubog sa utang. Kaya asahan ninyo, kukumplituhin na natin ngayong taon ang ginagawa natin pagpapawalang bisa ng mga utang ng ating mga benepisyaryo. Sa kabila ng mga ito, patuloy pa rin ang suporta ng DAR sa reformang agraryo tulad ng irigasyon, mga daan, makinarya at mga pautang para sa mga benepisyaryo nito. Kaya sinasabi ko, Secretary Conrad, huwag mong munang isipin na pwede ka na mag-retire. Marami ka pang trabaho na gagawin sa DAR. Ang mga nagdaang buwan ay nagpaalala sa atin na kailangan natin paramihin ang pinagkukunan natin ng kuryente. Ito ay isang tanda ng pagiging matatag na bansa. Kaya't kasalukuyan nating binabantayan at tinututukan ang 200 proyekto na matatapos hanggang sa dulo ng administrasyong ito. Ang kabuuang kapasidad ng mga ito ay halos 10,000 megawatt. 45 sa mga ito ay natapos na at 31 ay matatapos ngayong taon. At ang 124 naman ay inaasahang matatapos hanggang sa 2028. Dagdag pa rito ang mahigit 1,700 megawatt na hatid ng mga proyekto para sa energy storage system na may kakayahang mag-imbak ng kuryente. Karagdagang seguridad ito sa 2028 para sa halos 30 milyong kabahayan at mga industriya sa bansa. Ang mga proyektong ito ay napabilis ng dahil sa mga bagong patakaran at proseso na nagpapadali ng pagnegosyo dito sa ating bansa para sa mga Pilipino at dayuhang negosyante. Ngunit siyempre, mas pinapaghalagahan natin ang mga teknolohiya na hindi umaasa sa inaangkat na krudo na pinapaandar ng mga likas na yaman ng ating bansa tulad ng renewable at indigenous. Bukod sa ilang mga plantang pinapatakbo ng krudo, nakapagdagdag tayo ng mahigit 60 plantang pinapatakbo naman ng geothermal, solar, hydro at wind at saka ng biomass. Because of the extension as well of the Malampaya service contract until 2039, drilling operations once again resume for the first time in 8 years. What we have uncovered is truly a national treasure. An untapped reserve of 222 billion cubic feet of natural gas, which bodes well for the continuous production of our premier gas field until 2034. To put it in context, 222 billion cubic feet of natural gas is sufficient to power 1.6 million households for the next 8 years until 2034. Inspired by this development, we have already awarded a total of 14 petroleum service contracts in Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. By far, this is the highest number of such contracts ever to be awarded during a single term of any president in our history. Four of the contracts that we have so far awarded are for the production of hydrogen. Hydrogen gas will serve as a backup fuel for our power plants, especially useful for our off-grid areas. It is also touted as the world's clean fuel of the future. Two of the newly awarded petroleum service contracts are co-managed with the BARM government. This is the first time in our political history. BARM is now firmly set to pursue its strategic vision of energy security and total electrification for and in the Bangsamoro region. Sa kabila ng mga nailatag para sa ating seguridad sa enerhiya, panatag ang aking loob na kaya nating umangat pa. We have begun to embark on the establishment of hydrogen power plants. Multiple projects are now in their pre-developmental stage in Marinduque, in Masbate, Zamboanga, Sibugay, Basilan, and other potential areas. Pushing the envelope further, perhaps it is time for us to revisit nuclear energy production. After all, we are already using nuclear energy in the fields of medicine, in agriculture, water filtration, and the upcycling of plastic. We are confident in its capacity to reinforce our energy security and to bring down the cost of electricity in our country. Titiyakin natin ito ay ligtas. Titiyakin din natin may papaliwanag na mabuti sa publiko ang magandang dulot sa atin ng enerhiyang nuklear. Mga kababayan, sa lahat ng mga ginagawa natin sa sektor ng enerhiya, maninaw din sa pamahalaan ang hinaing ng taong bayan na pababain ang presyo ng kuryente sa bansa. Unang-una, upang maging simple, madali at abot kaya ang pagpapakabit ng solar panel at battery storage system sa kanilang mga bahay, hinihiling ko ang tulong ng Kongreso na maipasa na ang Sariling Kuryente Act. At kung pagbawas ng presyo ang usapan, sa aking palagay, panahon na para tanggalin na natin ang systems loss na pinapasa sa consumer. Pinapasa ito sa consumer at kinakarga sa bill na pinapatungan pa ng value-added tax. Hindi naman kasalanan ng consumer kung bakit nagkaroon ng systems loss. Kaya hindi naman tama na kailangan sila pa ang pagbabayarin dito. Therefore, we, the people, we demand for the immediate amendment of the EPIRA and to prohibit charging systems loss against consumers, including the value-added tax thereon. Noon nagsimula ang administrasyon, nilatag na natin agad ang pambansang polisiya sa social protection floor na magtitiyak na may pangsalo at paglingap sa ating mamamayan, lalo na sa oras ng pangangailangan. Kaya't nariyan ang DILIP at tupad ng DOLE at AIX at Risk Resiliency Program ng DSWD para magsilbing pantawid sa anumang krisis na pinagdadaanan sa pamamagitan ng pansamantalang hanap buhay o di kaya'y tulong pinansyal. Ngunit, mas mainam pa rin ang pangmatagalang seguridad ng makukuha mula sa matatag na trabaho. Maraming trabaho ang hatid ng ating lokal na industriya na patuloy natin pinalalakas. Kasabay ng seguridad na dala ng matatag na trabaho ang SSS, GSIS at Pag-ibig Fund, nagsisilbing proteksyon para sa mga manggagawang Pilipino. Katuwang ang mga ahensyang ito, nakakaipon ang manggagawang Pinoy para sa kanyang pagtanda at sa pagretiro. Nakakatulong din ito sa panahon ng kagipitan, kalamidad o krisis sa buhay. Bukod pa riyan, daan ito upang makapagpundar para sa sariling buhay tulad ng mga abot-kayang pabahay sa ilalim ng ating 4PH program. Nariyan ang DSUD at mga ahensyang kasapi sa sistema ng pabahay upang matupad ang pinapangarap ng natahanan ng Pilipino. Katuwang ang pribadong sektor at lokal na pamahalaan. Puspusan natin pinupuno ang kakulangan sa pabahay sa buong bansa. Ito ay ginagawa natin sa pamamagitan ng mga bagong komunidad, mga acquired asset ng Pag-ibig Fund, Community Mortgage Program, Resettlement, at pati na mga paupahan. Sa ating programang pabahay, Higit 500,000 bahay ang ating naitayo na at napondohan. Kasama ang higit 100,000 bahay na naidagdag natin sa loob lamang ng isang taon sa ilalim ng pinalawig natin na 4PH program. Susi sa lahat ng ito ang magandang sistema ng pautang upang gawing mas abot kaya ang mga pabahay para sa mga Pilipino. Isa na rito ang Pag-ibig Fund. Ang kanyang 17 milyong miyembro ngayon ay patuloy pang dumadami. Kung kaya, ang pinupundar ng mga miyembro ay patuloy ding lumalago. Ngayon, itinaas natin sa 10 milyong piso ang limit sa pautang para sa pabahay. Halimbawa, dahil dito, ang mag-asawa na may mas kakayahang bumili ng pinapangarap nilang bahay para sa kanilang pamilya. Ngayon, halos 7 milyong OFW na ang nagkaroon ng insurance. Dahil dito, panatag tayo na ang mga OFW natin ay naaalagaan at natutulungan ng mabuti. Patuloy din na dumadami ang mga kasunduan natin sa ibang bansa para sa karagdagan oportunidad para sa hanap buhay. Napataas din natin ang minimum wage ng OFW natin na namamasukan bilang kasambahay. Para naman sa ating mga pensyonadong uniform personnel na nagsakripisyo para sa seguridad ng ating republika, itinaas natin simula ngayong taon ang nakukuha nilang pensyon at subsistence allowance. Bilang dagdag tulong naman sa mga pensyonado ng SSS, pinaaga natin ang 10% pagtaas ng kanilang pensyon simula Hunyo na dapat sana ay nakatakda pa sa Setyembre. Mula nung nag-umpisa ang administrasyon, humigit kumulang 44 na milyong Pilipino na ang protektado ng SSS. Mahigit 80,000 sa kanila ay mga tsuper, mga tendero, tendera, gig worker, mga job order at contract of service at iba pang mga nasa informal na sektor. Ang mga contract of service at job order ng pamahalaan, ipinagpatuloy natin ang kanilang mga serbisyo. Naglaan pa tayo ng karagdagang sahod para sa kanilang paghulog sa SSS, Pag-ibig at PhilHealth bukod sa iba pang mga benepisyo. Misyon natin na mas marami pang Pilipino ang makakasapi sa SSS, lalo na ang informal na sektor at mga self-employed na tulad nila. Kaya nananawagan ako sa buong sambayanan, huwag natin ipagwalang bahala ang seguridad na handog ng SSS, pati na ang Pag-ibig Fund. Tiyakin po natin na ang wasto at buwanang paghulog para sa mga ikabubuti ng ating mga kinabukasan. Maganda ring balita na dumadami sa ating mga kababayan ang kumukuha ng insurance at pre-need mula sa pribadong sektor. Mainam din itong pagpundar para sa kinabukasan. Ito ay para sa lahat ng Pilipino. Ginawa rin itong mas abot kaya dahil sa mga micro-insurance plan ngayon na nasa merkado. Ito yung mga rehistrado at lehitimo. At mas maganda rin balita sa ating kabataan. Sa kanilang murang edad ay nagbubukas na ng mga account sa bangko o kaya sa digital payment app. Hikayatin at turuan natin silang mag-impok at magpundar para sa kanilang kinabukasan. Gayunpaman, edukasyon pa rin ang siyang pangunahin nagtataguyod ng kakayahan. Kung kaya ito ang nangunguna sa listahan ng administrasyong ito. Sinisimulan natin ito mula sa pagkamusmus at ito'y dapat tuloy-tuloy at hindi tumitigil. Kaya dapat nakakintal sa puso't isipan ng mga Pilipino ang lifelong learning at continuous self-improvement. Ang nagdaang mga buwan ay nagpaalala sa atin na mahalaga ang reskilling at upskilling ng ating mga manggagawa. Napatunayan natin ang kakayahan ng mga senior high school graduate natin. Sa mga isinagawa natin bagong Pilipinas Serbisyo Fair nitong Marso, mahigit 1,500 senior graduate ang naging hired on the spot. Maaari na rin sila ngayon mag-apply para sa mga bakanteng unang baitang na posisyon sa pamahalaan. Ngunit, patuloy pa rin natin pinalalakas ang curriculum ng senior high upang lalong maihanda ang estudyante para sa tunay na mundo. Pinaigting ang work immersion para maranasan nila ng personal ang paghahanap buhay sa kanilang gustong larangan. Panatag ang ating loob sa edukasyon pagkatapos ng senior high dahil sa patuloy na pagtaas ng kalidad ng kolehiyo sa ating bansa. Noong 2022, ang mga kolehiyo natin na pumasok sa World University Rankings for Innovation ay 12 lamang. Patuloy po nating ipinataas ito bawat taon. Ngayon, 140 kolehiyo na ang pumasok na sa World University Rankings. At lagpas kalahati sa kanila ay state at local universities and colleges kung saan libre ang matrikula. Para mahikayat ang kabataan na magtapos ng kolehiyo, ang tanggapan ng Pangulo ay naglaan ng 100,000 piso para sa 5 estudyante sa bawat barangay sa buong bansa. Sila ngayon ang ating presidential scholar. Mabisang pambato rin sa buhay ang mga programa natin sa TechVoc o TVET. Sa ngayon, 81% na ang placement rate ng mga dumadaan sa kursong TechVoc. Halimbawa, sa programang Super Scholar at ang programa Entrepreneur, naturuan ang mga driver ng panibagong kaalaman na sa kanilang iba't ibang pangkabuhayan. Sa programa naman ng DOLE at DA, mahigit 10,000 magsasaka at mangingisda sa buong bansa ang matuturuan na rin sa mga bagong kaalaman. Ang TechPro ay nakapaloob na sa senior high at ito'y progresibo o ladderized upang maging tulay sa agarang hanap buhay at hakbang din tungo sa patuloy na pag-aaral at pagsasanay. Maaring gamitin ng isang TVET graduate ang kanyang national certificate bilang pundasyon upang maituloy pa ang pag-aaral hanggang maging ganap itong kolehiyong diploma. Halimbawa, ang electrical installation and maintenance sa senior high, maaring magtuloy sa electrical engineering balang araw. Ang caregiving, pwedeng ituloy sa nursing. Sa kabilang banda, kahit graduate ng kolehiyo ay maaaring kumuha ng NC upang tumahak ng ibang larangan o kaya'y magnegosyo. Inahayag ng DOLE at TESDA sa publiko ang kompletong impormasyon ukol sa mga kurso at programa TVET, lokasyon ng mga training center at provider, paano mag-apply, petsa, iba pang mahahalagang detalye. Malaking tulong ngayon ang TESDA Passport na bunga ng digitalization ng inyong mga serbisyo. In line with our digital transformation drive, our DICT continues to train our tech-savvy citizenry in high-impact tech skills to help them stay competitive in this ever-evolving field. AI is here to stay, and so we adopt it to harness its potential to enhance critical sectors, from our educational system to our industries. We have launched massive training programs for AI readiness, which have reached at least 1.8 million individuals, students, parents, and teachers alike. This success inspires confidence to further scale up our initiatives for AI literacy across all sectors. We must ensure our global competitiveness. Within and beyond the academe, we must inculcate in our youth the virtues of critical thinking, innovativeness, creativity, as well as the ability to find solutions to problems. Our targeted scholarships and funding grants are all aimed to encourage these trailblazing traits. Contests such as Young Creative Challenge, the NICE, and the Philippine Innovation Awards recognize their talent and their hard work. At the same time, we have to do more to protect our children. We must protect them from the harmful influences and forces that exploit their vulnerability. The corrosive influence of fake news, the unfettered exposure to pornography, even to minors, the constant depiction of casual violence, and the toxicity and hate culture pervasive in social media. These pernicious influences lead to issues of their mental health, rise in teenage pregnancies and HIV/AIDS cases, and other extremely harmful consequences. We must all assume a community responsibility for our young people's protection. Ang mga nasawi na ating mag-aaral kamakailan, dala ng karahasan at kapabayaan, ay nag-iwan ng malaking puwang sa kanilang pamilya at mapait na aral din para sa ating lahat. Sa mga magulang at kaanak ng mga nasawit at nasaktan dahil sa nangyaring karahasan sa mga paaralan, tanggapin po ninyo ang aming taimtib na pakikiramay. To the parents of Chris Lawrence Fabian, Joyancy Separa, and Ayesa Nicole Dazo, we are all so very proud of the unflinching bravery and heroic virtue that you have instilled in your children. They are an inspiration to us all. Their courage and their selflessness, true Filipino qualities, are the virtues that these trying times call for. Kailangang mamulat ang buong lipunan at akuin ang responsibilidad. Pag-ibayuhin natin ang ating paggabay at pag-aruga sa ating mga kabataan. Magkakasama tayong lahat sa misyong ito. Ang pamahalaan, pamilya, paaralan, simbahan, industriya, komunidad. Tatayo ang paaralan bilang pangalawang tahanan para sa kanila. Kaya hinahanda natin ang mga pampublikong paaralan upang tanggapin sila ng bukas palad. Ngayong school year, tuloy ang ating school-based feeding program bilang mabisang suporta sa pag-aaral. Sa programang ito, mapapakain natin ang mahigit 4.5 milyong kinder at grade 1 at mga mag-aaral na grade 2 at pataas na mga lubos na nangangailangan ng nutrisyon. Magtutulungan ang lokal na pamahalaan, ang barangay, PNP, DepEd upang palakasin ang seguridad sa paaralan. Siniguro ng DepEd na nakahanda, gumagana at alam ng lahat ang mga mekanismo at proseso sa pag-ulat, sa pagtugon sa mga insidente ng bullying, pati na sa mga iba't ibang emergency. Hindi hinahanda rin natin ang ating mga principal at guro upang mamagitan sa pag-ayos ng anumang hindi pagkakaintindihan ng mga estudyante. Sa tulong ng unang batch ng 10,000 school counselor associates na ipapasok natin sa mga pampublikong paaralan, ang mga anak natin ay meron ng malalapitan para sa angkop na payo sa anumang mabigat na pinagdadaanan sa kanilang isipan. Hindi mawawaglit sa ating isipan ang karangalan at kadakilaan ng ating mga guro. Pinangako ko noong nakalipas na SONA na walang magre-retirong guro na Teacher 1. Ngayon, mahigit 80,000 guro at school head sa pampublikong paaralan ang na-promote gawa ng ating expanded career progression. Nagkaroon na rin ng mahigit 30,000 karagdagang posisyon para lumakas ang puwersa ng mga guro. To facilitate effective instruction, we also continue to provide them with helpful and innovating teaching aids such as smart TVs, laptops, tablets, free mobile data, even lapel microphones. To dramatically increase the traditional annual production output of DepEd, we have activated force multipliers in addressing classroom storage, tapping the DPWH, PAGCOR, and the LGUs as additional production arms for the increase in our schoolrooms. For its part, the private sector also will construct its initial share of more than 16,000 classrooms in Luzon by way of PPPs, Additional PPPs with higher production targets will soon follow for the Visayas and Mindanao. Kapag may nagkasakit sa pamilya, tila krisis ang tumama. Sa mahal ng pagpapagamot, kaya nitong simutin ang kita o ipon ng isang pamilya. Kaya malusog na pamumuhay ang ating pangunahing isinusulong. Kumpletong bakuna, maayos na nutrisyon, regular na ehersisyo at pag-iwas sa masamang bisyo at mapanganib na gawain. Mahalaga rin ang ating sports. Itinaas natin ng triple ang suporta natin dito. Hindi lamang dahil sa aliw na hatid nito, kundi para sa kalusugan. Sa nag-uumapaw nating suporta kay Alex Eala, sana ay marami ang maengganyo para matuto at maglaro hindi lamang ng tennis, kundi ng ibang sport pa. Sa halimbawa ng Pilipinas Women's Football Team, sana rin ay mas sumikat pa ang football sa ating bansa at maraming maglaro. Balang araw, baka makasali na ang Pilipinas sa World Cup. Ang ating sistema ng universal healthcare ay ang pangunahing seguridad sa kalusugan ng bawat Pilipino, katuwang ang DOH at saka ang PhilHealth. Daig ng maagap ang masipag. Ito ang layunin ng ating YAKAP program. Ilayo ang Pilipino mula sa sakit at tugunan ng maaga ang nagbabadyang karamdaman. Sa taong ito, 4.5 milyon na ang nakapagpatingin mula sa 25 milyong Pilipino nakarehistro sa programang ito. Hangad natin, mas maraming klinika pa ang makakasapi sa YAKAP upang mas marami pa ang pagpipilian ng ating mga mamamayan. Sa kaugnay nitong gamot program, ang membro ng PhilHealth ay makakakuha ng kailangang gamot mula sa mahigit 2,000 accredited na provider. Ang bawat membro ay may benefit limit pa na 20,000 piso kada taon. Ngayon, 75 na ang makakalagang gamot na kasama sa listahan ng programang ito. Meron diyang antibiotic, laban sa asma, alta presyon, kolesterol, para sa diabetes, sa ubo, lagnat, at iba pang mga sakit na kadalasang nararamdaman. Sa 7 buwan ng taong ito, mahigit 300,000 kababayan natin ang nakinabang dito. Bukod sa programang ito ng PhilHealth, ang bilang ng mga gamot na tinanggalan natin ng value-added tax ay umabot na sa mahigit 2,000. Mahigit 700 dito ay laban sa cancer, mahigit 500 ay para sa alta presyon, mahigit 600 naman ay laban sa diabetes at para rin sa mental health. Sa buwis na ito ng ating tinanggal, ang side effect dyan ay mas mababang presyo nito sa butika. Ngunit, kung pag-iwas sa sakit ang ating tunay na pakay, kulang pa ito. Kailangan mas maaga ang pagbabantay. Kaya pinapalawak pa natin ang programang ito. Sa susunod na taon, unti-unti nating isasama ang iba't ibang uri ng blood test at gamot upang mas maagang matukoy at mabantayan ang posibleng sakit sa bato, atay, thyroid at hepatitis B. Nariyan pa rin ang malaking suporta ng PhilHealth kung kailangan talagang magtungo sa pagamutan. Patuloy na pinaparami ng PhilHealth ang sakop nitong mga sakit, kondisyon at serbisyo. At itinaas din nito ang limit upang matiyak na sumasabay ito sa pagtaas ng mga presyo. Pinahahalagahan ng PhilHealth ang mga laganap at malubhang mga karamdaman tulad ng cancer at sakit sa puso. Kasama na rin ngayon ang pagpapagamot ng HIV/AIDS upang makatulong sa pagpigil na dumadaming mga kaso dito sa bansa. Pati na rin ang TB na kumikitil ng halos 100 buhay bawat araw dito sa atin. Para mapaganda pa ang suporta natin sa mga batang may developmental disabilities, dodoblehin natin ang PhilHealth package para sa pagpapatingin sa therapy. Dadamihan din natin mula sa 70 hanggang 150 ang bilang ng therapy session na sakop ng PhilHealth. Nakaantabay din para sa kanila ang Project Aruga ng DSWD para sa karagdagang tulong pinansyal. Mula sa lagpas 5 milyong pamilyang Pilipino na gumagamit ng PhilHealth noong 2022, umabot na sa mahigit 7.5 milyong pamilya ang nakatamasa ng mga benepisyo ng PhilHealth nitong nakalipas na taon. Lahat ng ito ay gawa ng ating masigasig na paghikayat, maayos na proseso ng pagrehistro at mas pinabilis pang pagbayad sa mga ospital at healthcare providers. At mula nung inilunsad matapos ng huling SONA, halos 3 milyon ng kapwa natin ang walang binayaran kahit 5 sa kanilang pagpapagamot gawa ng ating zero balance billing sa mga ward ng ospital ng DOH. Siyempre, hindi natin makakaligtaan ang maaasahang medical assistance o MAIP. Mas marami na ang ospital na sakop nito. Mas pinadali pa ang proseso. At ngayon, may e-MAIP na sa mga ospital ng DOH, online at kasama sa ating e-Gov app. 2 na lang ang requirement. Wala na ring GLGL, kaya hindi na kailangan pumila o magmakaawa pa sa sino mang politiko. Sa mahigit 56 na milyong nakapag-download at gumagamit ng ating e-Gov app, ganong karaming Pilipino, kasama ang kanilang pamilya, ang madali nang maaabot ang napakahalagang medical assistance na ito mula sa national government. Kung kaya't sa puntong ito, mahigit 8 milyong pasyente na ang natutulungan ng maaasahang MAIP. Sa ating ginagawang mga pagbabago, mas marami pa ang matutulungan nito, anumang antas sa lipunan. Paraan natin ito upang mapakinabangan ng mamamayan ang buwis ng kanilang binabayaran. Malaking bahagi ng naisalba nating pondo mula sa korupsyon sa flood control project, binuhos po natin sa edukasyon, sa pagkain, sa DOH, PhilHealth at sa MAIP. Para talagang makatulong, makapagpagaling at makapagpalakas ng katawan ng Pilipino. Patuloy pa nating inaayos ang sistema ng mga ospital at mga pasilidad sa bansa, kasama ang mga bukas at mga specialty center. Mayroon din valor clinics na tanging para naman sa ating mga veterano at kanilang pamilya. At magsisimula na rin tayong iguhit ang plano para sa makapagtayo ng isang Virology and Vaccine Institute dito sa ating bansa. Kasabay nito, ang hanay ng mga dalubhasa sa larangan ng medisina at kalusugan ay dumadami na rin. Mula nung magsimula tayo, mahigit dumoble ang kumukuha ng medical scholarship kapalit ng obligasyon na maglilingkod sa mga pampublikang ospital sila balang araw. Sa kanilang pinamamalas na serbisyo publiko, ang ating mga doctors to the barrios ay nagsisilbing huwaran sa ating mga susunod na henerasyon ng mga Pinoy na doktor. As we have witnessed and proven during this difficult period, our strong foreign relations have earned us incalculable dividends. The Philippines is once again a full member of the community of nations. Our vigilant trade facilitation efforts have resulted in integrating our country into the international free trade network that is the widest and most active one that we have ever had in our history. It has yielded transformative economic agreements such as the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. And now,
we are set to seal yet another promising comprehensive economic partnership agreement, this time with the United Arab Emirates. Because of these international engagements, the Philippines now has 23 free trade agreements in force or under active negotiations with other countries. Our exports have grown. They have continued to grow, reflecting high productivity and the increasing competitiveness of our products and services in the international trade market. It now behooves us to reinforce our strengths, enhance our comparative advantage, and diversify our portfolio. On this principle, we have maintained our competitiveness in supplying critical components to top technology companies in the world. We have also maintained export competitiveness for our indigenous farm products, such as ube, coconut, bananas, other tropical fruits. And we have now ventured into new, invaluable ones like enoke mushrooms. Foreign investments continue to pour in because of our beneficial policies, especially those promoting ease of doing business and accelerating digital transformation that curb red tape and corruption. Over the past 3 years, more than 6 trillion pesos in investments have been facilitated through our green lanes. These are estimated to create over 400,000 jobs for our Filipinos. Our productive ecozones lay down the fertile groundwork that brings these investments into actual fruition, posting consistent growth rates over the past 3 years. Extending beyond Metro Manila, from Luzon to Mindanao, promising new areas have been recently proclaimed, such as in Dumaguete and Misamis Oriental. And soon, we will also present a strong case for Palawan and for the halal industry. We continue to strive for bigger and greater things, venturing into areas heretofore unimaginable. That is, strategic and emerging industries that position our country in the global value chain, such as in the fields of pharmaceuticals, advanced manufacturing, luxury goods, technology, and logistics. Additionally, a product of the 23-member-strong US-led Pac Silica initiative, the Pac Silica Industrial Hub will create an ecosystem that will have AI at its core. It will bring quality jobs to our people, accelerate our industrial competitiveness, and revitalize our economy. As a strategic component of the Luzon Economic Corridor, the hub will be an advanced manufacturing and logistics center in the global AI and technology value chain. Cagayan is both geographically and economically primed to serve as our gateway to space and host the country's first spaceport. A sounding rocket launch test is slated for next year. Yes, we are going to launch a rocket into space. This we will do in partnership with a South Korean aerospace company. We do not have to look or sail very far to find dependable allies. ASEAN is our safe harbor, within which we share not only mutual proximity, but affinity. During our chairship of the ASEAN Summit this year, we advocated for greater solidarity and cooperation among ASEAN member states. Together, we found ways to alleviate the dire consequences of the war in the Middle East. Through a united ASEAN and its strong extended network, we have achieved greater security and resilience as a region and as individual nations, more capable of withstanding disruptive events. The ASEAN +3 emergency rice reserve system will guarantee emergency rice supply in case of shortage in our domestic production. The ASEAN Digital Economy Framework, led by the Philippines, will harmonize digital rules and enable cross-border digital transaction. It will accelerate the growth of our local tech sector, enable fintech and digital banking solutions, and support financial inclusion, especially for small enterprises. Likewise, The framework agreement on petroleum security for the joint stockpiling of energy assets in the region has been ratified. And now that our Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao grids are fully connected, we are in a better position to connect with our neighbors to help realize the ASEAN power grid. Moved by our stark realizations, ASEAN must further strengthen the bonds of our regional cooperation, building on our sense of affiliation and the heightened instinct for mutual assistance. This is bayanihan for the international community and for this part of the world. And more significantly, we in ASEAN, joined by the entirety of Filipinos who by nature are peace-loving, re-echo our unified appeal for an end to violent conflict. We appeal to all parties for a heightened sense of community, to a return to the table, armed only with a genuine desire for peace and for normalcy. True diplomacy builds, violent conflict only destroys. Peace and order are the foundations of security for our country, for our region, for the world. A long but worthwhile 15 years since its signing, we are now ready to formalize a historic completion of the government's peace pact with the CBA-CPLA. And in accordance with the Republic Act number 12317, the BARM electorate is now poised to partake in BARM's first regular parliamentary election. This is a critical accomplishment under the Comprehensive Agreement on the Bangsamoro. COMELEC, law enforcement, volunteers, deputized agencies, all stakeholders are now ready to ensure that this defining political exercise will be peaceful, orderly, and credible. May these inspiring developments strengthen our collective belief in the unity and indivisibility of the Filipino nation amidst our individual diversity. Our unity and collective consciousness are challenged now greater than ever before. A common threat lies before us, directed against our dignity and self-respect. Of late, our very humanity has been called into question. Let me remind our friends and our detractors, Filipinos are a noble, kind, gracious, and great race. We are not greedy, we are not racists, we are not liars. We are respectful and we are dignified. We are Filipinos and we do not yield. Just recently, we celebrated the 10th anniversary of the final and binding 2016 Arbitral Award, which stands as a definite benchmark for the interpretation and application of the UNCLOS. This is not a claim that we advance alone, nor is it one that we will abandon. Your government will do all that is necessary to continue upholding this award, utilizing every peaceful and legal means available to the Republic against any attempt, foreign or domestic, to undermine this achievement. We give honor to our armed forces, the Coast Guard, even our fisherfolk, who all continue to patrol and ply our seas in the face of great risk. To them, we owe collective gratitude and appreciation, for it is they who give life to the letter and spirit of the Arbitral Award. Mga kapwa kong Pilipino, sa ganitong mga banta sa ating seguridad, sa loob at sa labas ng bansa, tayo'y tumindig ng taas noo at magkapit-bisig. Dahil tayo man ay magkakaiba sa maraming bagay, iisa lang tayong lahi. Tayong lahat ay Pilipino, Pilipino sa diwa, Pilipino sa dugo. Manaig nawa ang pagkakaisa at ang pagmamahal natin sa inang bayan at sa kapwa Pilipino. Sa bagay na ito, hindi tayo magkakatunggali. Tayo ay magkakabigkis tulad ng ating pinamana sa ating buong kasaysayan. Sa mga pang-aalipusta, hindi tayo matitinag. Sa manlulupig, hindi tayo pasisiil. Sa nalalabing 2 taon ng administrasyon, tatapusin natin ang mga nasimulan at tutuparin ang ating pangako sa sambayanan. My beloved countrymen, let us continue the work that we have started to make the Philippines the country that Filipinos deserve. There is no nobler cause than this. We do this for our children. We do this for our future. We can but do this because we love our country and we love our people. Maraming salamat po. Magandang gabi po. Mabuhay ang Pilipinas!
On the part of the Senate, the joint session is adjourned.
On the part of the House of Representatives, the joint session is adjourned.
And there you have it, 1 hour and 31 minutes exactly for the President's 5th State of the Nation address that ended with, "Let us continue the work that we have started."
Sabi mo, first 5 minutes lang yung exciting. May ano,
3
although
minutes.
there were some, there were a lot of dragging portions, but there were some,
yung CBA, CPLA.
hindi yun. There were some
Epira.
Easter eggs, you might say.
Yeah, Epira. Yung matagal na yan na dapat na-review, dapat i-amend.
Teka lang.
Let's go through them one by one.
Let's go through the chronological order of his SONA.
Yun na nga yun.
He kicked off with the flood control scandal as everyone was expecting. The quotable quote there is, "Hindi ako pangulo ng aking pamilya, hindi ako pangulo ng aking kaibigan, ako ay pangulo ng Pilipinas." Presumably, his version of walang
Kaibigan, walang kamag-anak.
ni President
Erap
Estrada.
So malapit na maghain ng patong-patong na kaso sa dating speaker. And taking off from the fact na PI pa lang, o mag-PI pa lang
last Friday.
to moving forward, okay, magsasampa na raw sila ng kaso.
Na sinuggest ni Vince Dizon at saka ni Babes Romualdez last November.
He says
If you remember.
they have recovered almost 25 billion pesos in seized and frozen assets ng mga,
Meron bang
ng mga
breakdown
accused.
yan? Para
Walang,
malaman natin?
walang
Wala eh,
breakdown.
wala.
Actually, he didn't go into very detailed specifics on this part, on the flood control part. A lot of it, to be honest, is things that we've heard. Inulit lang niya, and as I said, yung quote is, hindi ako pangulo ng aking mga kaibigan or pamilya. Presumably,
But what do you think of that? Would that be enough to mollify his critics who are looking for something more substantial?
or out for blood. They want names. They want
Yung
heads.
Basically, yun lang sinabi niya eh.
Yung
Patong-patong na kaso malapit na ihain. At,
Yung critics kasi niya, hindi mo na mamamolify yun.
That's
okay,
true.
sige. Huwag yung critics. Pero the general public, people who are saying
Yun,
that,
iba yun.
where's Martin Romualdez in all of this?
Well, alam ko sa data analytics nila, yun yung malaking factor sa pagbaba ng approval rating ng presidente.
Yung Martin
Yes,
factor.
yung kamag-anak. At yun din na nag-feed dun sa atake sa kanila ng critics na selective justice. Oo. So, hindi ko alam gaano ka-dramatic siya dahil sabi nga natin kanina, PI pa lang eh. No?
Yeah, but how many people really consider that?
Oo nga, pero ibig sabihin, it will take several months kung sakaling makukulong siya. No, ang mollification kasi niya ng publiko ay...
Mollification. Okay.
Speaking of the cousin, speaking of the former speaker, we've just received a statement from his side in response to getting mentioned in the President's SONA. Sabi niya, masakit man ito sa aking pamilya, ginagalang ko ang naging pahayag ng Pangulo. Hindi ako kailanman humingi ng pabor o espesyal na pagtrato.
Hindi naman yung sinabi ng Presidente. Masakit din at malungkot sa kanya.
Naninindigan akong wala akong ginawang anumang labag sa batas at handa akong patunayan ito. Again, that's coming from the camp of former Speaker Martin Romualdez in immediate response to the President, to him being alluded to in the President's SONA.
Ano pa ba ang medyo...
But what do you think? As a political animal, do you think that there was any other way that he could have...
Very skeptical kasi ang tao eh. Kaya ang tao hinihintay, makukulong ba? Parang gano'n yung kinuha nila eh. Tinitignan nila. Yung mga kaso-kaso, very cynical sila dyan dahil marami na kasing nasampahan ng kaso eh. Na hindi naman nag-prosper. Diba?
And as we were saying at the start of the show, sana there is a hope na ma-mention din, ma-call out din yung ibang kongresista
Na hindi nabanggit.
na hindi nabanggit.
Tsaka yung mga contractors.
Mga contractors, mga kongresista na contractors din. There was a hope before this that finally there might be case build up against them as well.
At yung-
But we didn't hear that. And again, bumagsak kay former Speaker Romualdez, who, as we all know, is vehemently denying all charges.
Yes. At saka, ayun nga, inulit niya, pinasa niya kay Boying Remulla yung responsibility sa lahat ng ito.
But why do you think he never mentioned anybody else except for the speaker? As far as seeking
Maybe because
justice and going after, for example, the other congressmen.
Wala namang case build-up o PI kang nabalitaan.
Kaya nga.
Diba? Sa any congressman. Kay Speaker Martin, at least meron silang case build-up at saka preliminary investigation. Diba? All the rest,
And a
wala
lot of
eh.
mentions.
Kung i-mention niya,
accusations as well.
kung i-mention niya, dapat may PI. Or else, ano yung, para saan yung pag-mention niya?
Hindi, pero this
Oh.
it paints a stark contrast to his SONA last year, where he was in the House of Congress and he spoke directly at them. Mahiya naman kayo. Alam ko yung ginagawa ninyo.
Hindi nahiya.
I was going back
Versus
to
this.
going back
Versus
to
this.
our conversations with Magalong a month or two before this whole last year's SONA. He was talking about congressmen in the districts making taking away 60-70% of that project cost,
Yeah.
leaving only mga 30-40% for the project
Yes.
itself.
Alam ko yun. May mga nakita akong ganun. No? Pero, magkasabwat dyan yung congressman at saka yung contractors. Contractors na nagbibigay eh.
Yeah.
Diba?
Yeah.
sa mga congressmen, sa mga politicians. So, wala tayong nakita eh.
Oo nga. My question nga is, last year was all fiery and, hitting the congressman directly. Tapos this year was a lot more subdued. In terms of tone, in terms of approach.
Yun nga yung sinasabi ko eh. Two SONAs ago, ang defining was the total pogo ban. Di ba? Yung a year ago, yung mahiya ka naman. Mahiya naman kayo. This SONA, parang medyo kulang ng dramatic, defining
Especially at
message.
at the start, dun sa flood control part.
Especially na ang daming problema na nagsabay-sabay ngayon. No?
Was there any other way that he could have spun his narrative as far as the flood control project and the prosecution of other legislators?
Yeah, yung sinasabi ni Reg, nagsama siya ng iba pang mga kongresista, nagsama siya ng iba pang contractors, nagsama pa siya ng ibang undersecretary. Paano, halimbawa, yung undersecretary ng DepEd, si Try Gibb, in-specify mismo ni Kwan yan eh, ni Bernardo, nag-deliver siya ng 8 billion. Yung mga ganun ba? So,
Nalaglag na lang eh.
Nasa na yun?
Si former USEC, DPWH USEC
Si
Bernardo.
Adrian Bersamin, di ba? In-specify yan eh.
Here's the problem. The problem at this point is, because of all these cases that are still moving, hindi mo alam kung sino, and none of them have been convicted. So, mahirap din for him to go out there and start naming names. But what I'm saying is...
May smoking gun kay Adrian Bersamin eh. May smoking gun kay Undersecretary Try Gibb eh. Diba? So, nasa na yun?
At the very least, he could have mentioned na there are so many other people that we're going to go after in the executive and within this chamber. Eh.
Yeah.
Parang you would have wanted something a little bit more stronger than just, of course, we were looking for Martin Romualdez's name there.
Yun.
Pero maliban doon.
Yun, hindi na surprising yun eh. Dahil last year pa yun.
Exactly.
November pa yun eh. No? Pero yung iba.
And one way to follow up this year would have been to, again, look them in the eye, talk to them directly, and said, alam ko kung sino sa inyo may mga kasnong, may mga are involved in this flood control scandal. We are going after you.
Again, sana nadagdagan.
We are going after you.
O kaya palakpak kayo ng palakpak. Mayaring kayo, di ba? But then again, we're wishing for the stars.
Because one thing that we know for sure at this stage is that this crime did not happen just amongst a few handful of people, right? This is a whole entanglement.
It's a conspiracy.
It's a web of people that pulled off this massive heist. How could you steal? Ano na yung billions and billions? Ano na yung total?
Hundreds of billions.
Billions and billions of pesos from the national budget, if it weren't for the involvement of several people in all levels, essentially, right? So marami pang kailangan habulin.
Understandable na very soft siya sa Senate, mga senador na may kaso dahil sa gitna ka ng impeachment. Pero tapos na yung impeachment sa House eh. So sana mas sharper yung kanyang atake ron sa mga involved dito sa corruption.
Then he moved on to, nag-segue na siya to the war, actually, after nung mention nung integrity chain, transparency portal, and mga efforts that they've made to make sure that wala nang overpricing and that yung mga materials are not subpar anymore, are of good quality.
Yung online courses.
Talon ako, yung taxes. Isa sa mga pinalakpakan yung taxes eh. Okay, broaden the exemption for income tax exemption to include those earning 350,000 per year.
At the moment, ang exemption is for those earning 250,000 and below every year.
Very popular yon, populist nga eh. Pero with a very narrow fiscal space. Saan ka kukuha ng pampuno?
Actually, hindi lang yun eh. Okay.
Why do you have to look at the other side always?
Ito po, it's a whole package. Hindi lang yung exemption eh.
Ikaw yung cup half full, ako yung half empty.
No minimum corporate income tax for small businesses and amnesty for income taxes, say tax donors, tax and VAT.
So
As well as the fines.
3 appeals to Congress, because of course Congress has to pass this or amend this income tax exemption for those earning 350,000 pesos and below a year, no more minimum corporate income tax, and amnesty for income tax, donors tax, VAT, and other fees, which I'm sure a lot of middle-class workers and business owners will be very happy about.
Agad namin naisip, yung estate tax na hindi pa babayaran, yung 23 billion.
Nino.
Na principal yun, I'm not even talking about any interest. But anyway, sige.
Pero yun, Red, saan mo kukunin yan?
Kaya nga eh.
Yung mawawala sa revenue.
Sa problema na ng next na presidente.
But it sounds catchy. I mean, of course, a lot of people would like to see this move forward. Pero yun nga, what you're saying is, how feasible is it?
Hindi, okay ako ron eh. Sinasabi ko lang, with a huge deficit, with a very
how feasible
limited
is it?
fiscal space.
Ito yung economic case for it. When you cut taxes, the thinking goes that people will spend more. So it goes in, that money that people save goes into other pockets of the economy. Bibili sila, they'll be eating out more, spending more, and so on and so forth. And considering that we are a consumption-driven economy, that's good news. Pero long term,
that's a big if. Kung wala itong Iran war, kung wala itong increases in oil, kung wala itong food inflation na parating next month.
Daming elements.
Ibig sabihin,
Maraming elements.
ibang kwan eh, di ba?
the president says they've allotted 60 billion pesos for relief measures in relation to the war on Iran and its impacts until the end of the year. 60 billion pesos, 60.
Okay, uwi mo.
Parang itong contradiction, itong elephant in the room, nag-i-increase ka ng budget habang very slow yung iyong growth. Di ba? It's not necessarily the ideal situation.
Well, if itong cut to corporate income tax and amnesty for donors tax and VAT and all the other stuff do end up stimulating small businesses, then may konting offset kahit papano. Kahit papano. If it ends up encouraging more micro-entrepreneurs, MSMEs, and so on and so forth, may konting offset.
Okay.
Tuwatango ako eh.
Talon ako, nuclear power. Of course, it's been on the table, several years na actually, pero namatay eh. Namatay
Yes,
Namatay yung
pero ang tanong nga dyan, anong klaseng nuclear power? Yung traditional nuclear power o yung sinasabi nilang modular. Na nasa experimental stage pa for the developed countries. No? So, that would take time. Tapos na yung term ng Pangulo. pag nagsimulang pumasok yung nuclear power.
You know what? I'm okay with that as long as we get started now.
Paano ka mag-start?
I mean, you just lay the foundation and they're in talks with the U.S.
What do you
I
mean
forget which
foundation?
agency.
Talks or yung physical foundation? Because the physical foundation won't happen in 2 years.
It won't. It
Yeah,
won't.
yeah.
And you're thinking of the physical foundation. I'm talking more of the groundwork that's needed for us to actually have nuclear power. Lots of other countries in the world are now
which the next
relying
one-
on nuclear power. And the
Which-
technology daw,
Yeah.
I don't know what it looks like, but the technology is supposedly safer now, yung micro-modular reactors.
Yes, na ang ating kinakausap ay US, pero sabi naman ng France tsaka
In
Canada,
the UK as well, I think.
sabi ng France tsaka Canada, US, wala pa sa kanila yung modular eh. No?
Sa UK,
So what are we
France,
negotiating with?
Oh.
No? Ano yun ang sabi ng mga kausap ko sa France tsaka Canada. Kami mas advanced sa kanila. But walang kumakausap sa amin. But ang kinakausap nyo, yung nasa experimental stage
I was
pa
going to say France, UK, Russia. These are some of the countries that are relying on nuclear already.
You know what some people are saying? The one possible reason why this suddenly revived after so many years in the doldrums is because of Pax Silica.
Well, yung mga modular nuclear power companies na yan, ang hintayin na nila yung 2028. Dahil may usap ka ngayon, tapos iba yung gobyerno.
Baka magbago na naman.
2 years na lang. Hintayin na lang
The
nila yun.
pendulum might swing
Kaya
again.
yung sinasabi ko na, even
Everything's
the
on hold.
preparation,
The uncertainty.
The uncertainty is very palpable. Still on energy, the president says they have awarded 14 petroleum service contracts. That's the highest number of such contracts awarded by any president in history. He says 4 of the contracts are for the production of hydrogen, which is especially useful for off-grid areas. And 2 of the contracts are going to be co-managed with the BARM government, a first in our history.
Yan, pwede nang simulan yan.
Na-award na, 14 service contracts. So, hopefully, dire-diretso na yan.
Tapos yung isang matinding pinalakpakan talaga.
Si Pele.
Okay. A demand, hindi proposal.
Hindi requested.
A demand to amend the EPIRA Act and remove yung systems loss charge
tsaka VAT.
and VAT on power rates. Ayun talaga pinalakpakan.
Dahil, kanyan presyo ng kuryente yan. Lahat tatamaan dyan. Negosyo as well as consumers, mahirap at saka mayaman. Diba?
We demand the amendment of the EPIRA law and prohibit charging of losses to consumers, including yung...
Pero, katulad ng 4 priority bills na prioritize niya, na sa ngayon ay in limbo pa, dadaan pa uli yan sa proseso, katulad ng kanyang priority bills.
That's why he was addressing it to Congress because only Congress can amend RA 9136, which is the EPIRA Act. Specifically, there's a section there that allows distribution companies to recover transmission and distribution losses from consumers. Meaning, this was already written into law that yung mga system losses like that and other charges can be recovered from consumers.
Kaya nga, and they have to do that fast dahil practically campaign election year na next year.
Yung VAT, in theory, is easier to take out kasi the other side of his promise was tatanggalin din yung VAT sa electricity bills natin. Kaya lang, VAT is of course governed by the tax code. That's not under the DOE anymore. And I'm not entirely sure. Unlike the provision that allows him to suspend excise taxes, I'm not sure there's a provision that allows the executive branch to immediately take out the VAT. I think that will have to be reworked by Congress as well. Kasi nasa tax code nga siya.
So you were talking kanina about yung what they call systems loss charge. Basically, there are 2 kinds or 2 categories of systems loss charges. Yung technical losses due to system issues like heat, transformers, and resistance within the system.
Kasama na dyan yung jumpers.
Hindi pa yan. That's non-technical. Ang technical is basically, because of the machines.
In the process of distributing.
The distribution, transformers. Sa wires pa lang kasi may resistance yan eh. The farther you are, the more the resistance is. That accounts for around 60 to 80% of
system losses.
Systems loss. Yung non-technical, which is the more controversial for most people, is yung mga jumpers, mga connection...
Which is actually a smaller
illegal.
part.
Yeah.
Oh.
And yung mga errors. In better regulated environments, mas maliit yung non-technical kasi nababantayan na maigi yung mga jumpers. Pero sa probinsya, mas malaki yun. Kasi mas pahirapan yun eh. Tsaka sa probinsya, pag armado yung may bahay, hindi ka makapalag eh. Matatawa ka. So, pero in real terms, for example, if you look at your power bill, I think 200 kilowatt hours yung typical, tama ba yun? Is that the typical power bill? 200 kilowatt hours?
Maybe less.
May parating may ganun na ginagamit yung Meralco, for example. The typical power consumer is
baseline.
Mga 200 kilowatt hours. At 2,400 pesos na bill mo for 200 kilowatt hours, yung system loss charge mo doon is mga 4 to 7% or 140 pesos. If you pay 5,000, ang system loss charge mo doon would be around 300 pesos. For 10,000 na bill, mga 600 pesos. So just so that you have an idea exactly how much we are talking about when we talk about removing yung system loss charge yan.
But again, as Ronald said, Congress will have to move very fast on this. Because alam mo naman, to amend even a single law in Congress takes a while. But now that the President has mentioned it,
yung sinabi niyang 4 priority bills last SONA. Hanggang ngayon, wala pa eh. A year later.
I think it's in various
Priority-
stages of
Priority bill na yan, ha?
various stages of completion. I think there are some that are moving their way through Congress.
Yung anti-dynasty na binabanatan ng iba
Meron
na
na,
hindi...
gumagalaw na siya.
Oo nga, pero binabanatan ng iba na hindi anti-dynasty.
Pero kasi diluted
Oo.
according to the political scientists.
Yung waling-waling na lang kasi.
So,
one more point here. Okay. So yung system sales charge accounts for mga 4 to 7% of the bill. That's very controversial because sabi ng mga tao, we didn't spend for that. We didn't use that power. Why are we paying for it? So that's a compelling argument. On the other hand, the biggest portion of your bill goes to generation charge. That's 50 to 60%.
Yung BAT.
VAT is mga 12%.
VAT is 12%.
Yeah.
That is
Of course,
standard.
not everything in your bill is
Just
VAT.
estimate mo yung 150, 400, 600. So, madadagdagan pa yon.
Kung tatagal mo yung VAT, oo. Although hindi naman lahat ng nasa bill mo is vatable eh. May mga hindi kasama dyan sa VAT eh. Lagyan mo sa 12% just to be sure. So, awasan mo ng 10% mo, tapos minus 2 percentage points para mas madaling ma-imagine. So, yun. Now, ang generation charge mo nga is the biggest, 50 to 60%. For two reasons. One is because we still use fossil fuels, which we do not have.
Pero malaki yun kung sakali. Around 18 to 20% yung mababawas. Yung systems loss at saka yung VAT.
If you combine them.
Medyo significant siya.
Yeah, that's 1/5 almost of your bill. Yun lang.
But as you said, the question is who absorbs that?
There you go.
Is the government going to cover the systems loss
Is he being
charges?
populist or is he being realistic?
I mean, you have to...
Populist.
Of course you're being populist, but I will look back at the history of this law, yung EPIRA Act. There has got to be a very good reason why they worked it into the
Dahil
law
may
somehow.
scarcity ng energy noon.
Oo.
Nung ginawa nila yan. Kaya nung hiningi yan ng mga independent power producers, walang choice.
Bigay.
Bigay sila. Dahil nga, may scarcity.
It was panic time eh.
You could argue may scarce pa rin naman, may kahit konting scarcity pa rin naman yun. I mean at least
Dati
until
grabe ano eh.
until you get the
Talagang brownout.
other...
Tuloy-tuloy ang brownout.
Talagang lugi-lugi mga negosyo talaga. Lugi. Grabe. 12 oras o 18 oras.
Speaking
Pay-pay ka lang nun.
speaking of electricity bills, Meralco pala, this is a side topic, is also actively looking into nuclear power aside from so you've got two tracks, private sector track tsaka yung
Pero sabi mismo
government
ng
track.
Presidente, kailangan mo ipaliwanag yan. Kailangan
mo
i-educate
ipaliwanag
yung mga
because
tao.
nuclear in this country is a very bad
Lalo na katabi natin ng Japan, di ba?
impression. And then
Tapos meron kang Bataan Nuclear Power Plant na medyo negative yung naging history, di ba?
very negative history. So that's what most Filipinos remember, right? That nuclear is has that bad history in this country. Nothing much that I picked up on the foreign relations bit other than we will continue to defend the arbitration award and also that there are about 23 free trade agreements now in force or under active negotiations, which is the most that the Philippines has ever had.
Nabanggit din yung Pac Silica.
Nabanggit din yung Pac Silica, not a whole lot of details
Yes.
though. Kasi of course, as we keep saying, maaga pa, they're still working out the details.
Pero in-emphasize niya yung importance.
And then with health, just very quickly, basically he talked about expanding the coverage for PhilHealth and the other programs like Yaka program, Gamot program. They're trying to add more medicines that will be covered under Gamot program, including antibiotics, medicines for asthma, diabetes, high cholesterol, etc., etc. And mas marami na rin ngayon medicines that are VAT-free, over 2,000, he says, the president says. Okay, so overall rating,
Mr. Llamas, what do you think?
what's the score for today?
If you were his political, ano dati? Presidential political advisor, how would you have rated his performance?
Well, I should have included yung mga sinasabi ni Reg na mga more congressmen, more contractors, more executive officers, undersecretaries, assistant secretaries na involved dito. Para pag pinagsama-sama mo yan, mas compelling.
Or cabinet member, si Amena Pangandaman is.
Di ba? Adrian Bersamin, Undersecretary Trigib. Yun, talagang lumabas na yung smoking gun doon sa Blue Ribbon. So, yung mga ganun ba? So, nasa na yun? Pag pinagsama-sama mo yan, tapos binigay mo sa SONA, mas compelling yung SONA mo. Di ba?
What about the others? The others, you're talking about some proposals that yung talagang pinakpan ng tao, pero bawas kita yan.
Got issues, but number one, Congress still has to act on it. And number two,
Ayun lang, kailangan bilisan na dahil yung track record doon sa priority bills na last year, medyo mabagal. Diba? Ang nag-survive lang yata yung anti-dynasty bill na binabanatan
Hindi
pa
pa
ng,
rin.
ng mga critics. Diba? Ano na nangyari doon sa kwan? Doon sa party list reform bill. Diba? Ano na nangyari doon? 4 yun
Buti nga yung waling-waling napasay.
it's the flower.
Diba?
Ito talaga.
So,
Okay, so overall score. Out of 10.
Sabihin nun.
Out of 10. I know you have a number in mind.
Hindi mo na number eh.
Ikaw na lang magbigay.
Ikaw na magbigay. Ikaw yung pandit eh. Ikaw yung political animal.
Ikaw yung pandit.
Ikaw yung political pandit. Parang pandit kanton.
Akala ko ako yung orangutan dito.
Well, you are. But what's the score?
Ha?
Just for this one.
Iskoran mo. Ano bang gusto mong klaseng score? Yung 75 yung passing o
Passing.
yung 1 to 10? Ano mas gusto mo?
Yeah, barely.
74?
74.5. Okay, he really doesn't want
Ayaw
to give a
kasi
number.
magbigay ng grade dahil baka magamit ng iba.
Okay, we will end that there. We'll let him off the hook. That was our political animal, political pundit Ronald Llamas. This has been the special coverage of the 5th State of the Nation address of President Bongbong Marcos. Thanks for watching. I'm Regina Lay.
I'm Ed Lingao. Storcon will be back tomorrow at 4 p.m. Kapatid, we are One News, your side all the time.